Ah, geez, I'm a Pokemon fan, guys. I love the simple stories. I love the ecology implied in this huge fantasy world that was slowly crafted over a few decades, and most of all, the Pokemon are near and dear friends to my heart. However, as much as I value my memories of raising my first Magikarp in Platinum or trying to figure out how to get another Colosian starter in X and Y like I heard others got, not every Pokemon game is as replayable and infinite as Nintendo may hope. However, I'm no lily-livered baby. I stick by my favorite franchise even if I'm bored of their most recent product. In fact, when that annual hyperfixation for everything cuddly and element harnessing comes full swing but there's no new official content to sink my teeth into, I can thankfully rely on Pokemon's humongous fan base to offer a wide array of ways to express my love for this franchise. A rather popular one is the Fan Game, a free, playable, and fan-made creation that is based lightly, or in fact rather heavily, on our mode interest. The two most common ones are the Ground Up game, often created from RPG Maker XP, using a free pack that includes the coding essentials from the GBA's Pokemon Ruby. The other common form is the ROM hack game, created from directly modifying the files of a real copy of a Pokemon game. Remarkably, creating these and distributing them, including sending the files, is, I think, considered illegal, doubly illegal if it includes modifying the game's code and making money off of distributions. While I haven't heard of too many projects getting money from the game, that's still illegal and would continue to be so if someone tried it. That being said, this article I read for information flip-flopped pretty hard between check it out, this is how you make one of these games, and this is a list of games you should try, and check it out, this is how you do an illegal, and this is a list of Nintendo employees and executives you should distance yourself from for the rest of your life, lest they kill you for pirating away a few dollars of their massive world-spanning children's entertainment empire. But eventually it mellowed out and just said that emulators and fan games weren't illegal in the United States, and that there has never been a trial in which someone was criminalized for doing so. Now that I've both dodged legal comeuppance and warned you all, let's continue. See, I hold just as much joy in my heart from canon installments as I do for fan games and ROM hacks, such as my Adventures in Pokemon Sweet version, Creampuff Jigglypuff and Trident Layers Ekans, I love you guys, and all the fun I've had watching Pokemon Spectrum grow and then fizzle out expeditiously, like quite a couple ROM hacks seem to do. You'll likely won't be surprised that I found one of the best original Pokemon ROM hacks, and as such, am super excited to tell you all about its Pokedex. Would you also be surprised to hear that the game has a Pokemon based off of Jesus on the cross? Oh, you would be surprised? Would help if you knew he was awesome? Oh, you're still reeling? Alright, I guess that makes sense. Welcome to Pokemon Clover, a ROM hack of Pokemon Fire Red that has been completely reimagined as a quirky adventure across not Kanto. Pokemon Clover has been one of the most infamous and most popular fan games for Pokemon since 2014 when the game began its development. Granted, Clover is also famous for being ridiculously offensive as it's based off of 4chan culture, and we all know how 4chan is. So here's a list of trigger warnings for topics I cover in this video, and yes, these are all related to Fakemon designs. Man, aren't humans just so ingenuitive? I've decided I'm going to share my rather foolish opinions on all of these Clover mods, for better or for worse. Of course, the only way I know how to make a list of opinions is by ranking them, so come along with me on a journey to rank all of the Clover mods. Oh, and by the way, try not to get offended if your favorite isn't near the top. This hack has 386 Fakemons in it. Something has to be the worst. And believe me, bud, there are things that are the worst. These 6 Clovermons need no reasoning for being the collective worst. I don't care if Liz Akbar is the best starter. I don't care if Vandash is a fantastic HM slave that can learn anything. Real funny, guys, I see what you did there, that's super clever. And honestly, the 2Ks are just as tastelessly edgy, which is to be expected from a ROM hack representing 4chan. That being said, for anybody offended by these 6 Clovermons, I implore you to stay, as quite a few of the higher tier mons are really quite excellent. These guys are the bottom of the barrel for a reason, you know? Okay. There's a reasoning why these aren't in the absolutely rancid tier. Nazis have since become extinct, neo-Nazis are thankfully not anywhere near as powerful as the creeps they're inspired by, and these Nazi Pokemon are so comically unrealistic that they feel more like a political cartoon than something a Nazi would be proud to journey alongside. Not to mention a little spray bottle, pss, pss, and these two are kaput. That being said, I'm not really interested in either of them in the slightest, and that is why they are 210 out of 210. The worst of the worst. Look, I really hate that my love for the color purple is gaslighting me into liking this Clovermon, but I promise that I really wouldn't have wanted to rank it any higher anyway. As a Nazi-aligned Fakemon that turns into an outright Nazi reference as a shiny, Scytale is already on a steep incline for popularity. Add in that this asshole lives at the top of a dungeon I've already climbed twice in every playthrough, once to progress the story and twice to get the Sacred Ash, and you can see why his cringe ass sits here despite being a stacked steel ghost type. With a name like Jewipede, you better have a pretty funny joke set up to make this weird name worth it. Fuck, I played right into it. Never mind. If I can be honest, I have barely any genetics-based Jewish in my DNA, but I have some. And I respect those who believe in the religion, but I don't personally partake. Using Jew as a term to describe a gross or greedy person paints an unhelpful picture of a sizable demographic, and considering the amount of Jewish people in modern-day media that are conveyed with any number of stereotypes, that's a little harmful. But I think we can all agree that Jewipede the Clovermon is tone-deaf, but ultimately harmless. It is an interesting two-battle encounter that takes place after the player commits an unholy amount of gambling or money laundering, has a banger theme that on closer inspection is just a GBA remix of Item Bounce Trial from Kirby Air Ride, and it's 69 feet long. Nice. Apparently it's based on a weird copy pasta, but don't worry guys, you do not have to share this video with 1,000 people or else Jewipede will eat your dick. That's just ridiculous. He can't. I'm too busy using him to shatter the final boss of the game. This is honestly just... ugh. Shantruth is weird for me. It makes fun of a piece of my lineage, however small. It's given the dark type and depicted to be a thief. But it could also be seen as ironicism. See, Shantruth has the same Pokedex number as Jinx, the Pokemon famous for being part of a scandal due to its unwise coloration in the early games and anime. Despite Shantruth being so distasteful, when seen in this light, you realize that the whole point of this mon is being a parody of both public outcry as well as racist stereotypes. Shantruth is a dark type because the Jewish are seen as dark people and religions other than their own, as heathens who worship a false deity, like all religions see each other. It's dark type because Jinx was colored black. It's dark because clearly such a hideous creature must be dark. It's given all these stereotypical features and has them blown out of proportion to make it gross and unsightly. It steals from other Pokemon because humanity steals from themselves, and it's once again a dark type because humans make monsters out of each other. To appreciate Shantruth is to understand that humanity is flawed, and to love all people is innocent, scared sheep trapped in a world that is unkind to them. But to be honest, the whole Clovermon is a little distasteful, you know? And honestly, even if I like how thought-provoking it just was for me, it should probably stay here, because I'm pretty sure I'm just overthinking it. From religious paranoia to increasingly apparent issues in modern government, Pigison. I don't like that you can win with a Pigison because it implies that the police always win. But also you could just as easy argue that it's unfair that you could lose while using a Vandash, because it implies that black people can't win fights. Whatever the case, while Vandash has hurtful stereotypes that I don't agree with, Pigison has hurtful stereotypes that I do agree with. Specifically that the police are over-aggressive pigs. It's making fun of corrupt officers, what we would call punching up, which is very redeeming in my eyes. Police brutality, often unwarranted, which is ironic considering they seem to need a warrant for everything besides violence, is a serious issue in not just the United States, but the wider world. To have a dirty pig in this kid's game is to make fun of the police officers that are almost cartoonishly violent. It's shiny as a black prison guard, which makes things a little testy, but let's be real. Working a profession like policing has nothing to do with race and everything to do with supporting a flawed system that actively harms the little guy. Vandash's shiny references white people in blackface and behaves as a thinly attempted way to even out or make fair the amount of black slander in Clover, but I just don't think it works like Clover intended. Luckily, Clover pulled out another banger of a socio-political satire mon with Pigison, even if the Ferguson riots reference is a little on the nose. Okay, this is the last time I mention Nazis in this video. The absolutely wacky lore in Pokemon Clover has a lot of bizarre twists, turns, and filler episodes, and one of the strongest filler episodes is Nighterpint's legendary event. I don't want to spoil the whole Pokemon Clover game, but also, if someone is finding this hell of a deep cut, something tells me they're going to know close to everything about this hack anyway. Nighterpint's lore is a Nazi super weapon, both explores the natural curiosity from any Pokemon fan of what would happen if Pokemon were used in warfare, but also the weirdly high volume of Nazis in Fochin and the Eben Isles. Meme-wise, it's because Nazis are rightfully History class's punching bag, and yet lore-wise, it's because clearly Fochin or Eben was used to be a huge Nazi base of operations, hence there being a whole research HQ in the ocean. Nighterpint satirizes movies about foreign powers deploying scary superweapons while staying true to a Pokemon's ideology of making any Pokemon look like a friend. I mean, I could see myself making friends with misguided better Metal Snake faster than, say, consumer of light and absorber of mammals Necrozma. It's 4chan. Were you expecting some sort of tasteful fighting type representing the indomitable feminine spirit? No, this is 2014, and Chanty Binks shouting fucks and shits while listing off situational opinions has inspired a generation of radical feminists who are guided by hate and also set off an internet-wide bomb leading to the general concept of feminism being considered simply an inflammatory pursuit to attack men. Now, I'm of the firm belief for equal rights to all, meaning not that men should be stripped of rights or persecuted, but rather that women and all other mistreated gender minorities should be brought up to the same level and treated as equals. Women shouldn't have to suffer the pink tax. They shouldn't have to feel unsafe in public. They shouldn't be paid garbage wages for almost twice the work men put in. And they shouldn't be considered less creditable or respectable just because they have a couple different organs. Anyways, soapbox aside, Fishnism is a pathetic mix of stereotypes that gives a cool design but falls flat thanks to the poor foundation for its design, mainly inspirations. Self-harm scars as misguided social justice, the female gender symbol body, the for now implied, but to anybody who knows what's going on, definitely connected Tumblr reference with its shiny. I don't know, man, I like how it plays, but everything about it makes my skin crawl. Like I'm watching an angry teen boy design a Pokemon right after his mom scolds him for not cleaning his room. Oh, right, this is a 2-part rank, SJ Whale. God damn it, dude, I love whales. I love when fantasy artists put them in the air, space, well, even in the water, but differently. But land whales, those are special. Imagine such a colossal, beautiful being, plodding along, sucking in flocks of insects like krill. Oh, right. Land whale is unfortunately also slang for overweight people, commonly used to describe social justice warriors, another demographic full of angry people who are afraid of the world and taking it out on others under the thin veneer of saving others. I hate it. Stop using beautiful concepts like human equality or world peace as reasons to harass minimum wage workers. Whatever. Other stereotyped peoples and other shitty mon to go with it. At least this Clovermon is a little redeemed by its ability, Rivalry. See, Rivalry makes most moves used against Pokemon of the same gender more super effective, highlighting the lamentable reality that the more these over-aggressive and frankly misguided rad femmes and social justice warriors poison the pure ideas of treating everybody with dignity and respect, the more it hurts other fellow women and politically disadvantaged friends, making everything worse. Just when you think this Clovermon's redeeming itself, though, the Pokedex entry is about how every SJ Whale plans attacks and brainwashes others to help them. Nice idea, Clover, but fucking horrible implementation.
Emotional, damn it!
I feel a little bad soapboxing so hard last segment just to get to Florius, who realistically is just here because I hate it so fucking much. In reality, I like using Fishnism and SJ Whale as I'm just a fool for aesthetic shapes and can confidently say that my SJ Whale treats everyone equally, with a swift, stab, adamant Aqua Tail. but the two Mons are just too distasteful to properly fit in any of the higher tiers. Florius, however, is just a total fucking party pooper. He sucks. Like, I'm usually not a Pokemon hater, and there's few Clovermons that I truly hate, as you've seen, but Florius is just such an awful ruination of everything that makes its pre-evolution Flowray such fun. It may be Poison Dark type, but there's no head-scratching mystery anymore, as it would pretty easily be considered those two types. It grew wings to explain Flowray's nuts-kicking levitate ability, but then at the same time, completely drops the ability, ruining the gimmick of it being without weakness. It looks like a smarmy DeviantArt OC would give worthless head, and Eviolite Flowray is far superior in every way. I'd be willing to give up completing the Clover Pokedex if it meant never seeing a Florius. I fucking hate Florius, but it would be morally reprehensible to put it below a more conventionally unacceptable Clovermon like Vandesh or Klukland, so fucking top of worst tier, top of technically not horrible but still bad tier. Yeah, I guess there you go. Look, not every Pokemon can leave an impression that leads to an opinion. Sure, tons of them exist, there's 1,000 of the fuckers at this point. But you know, if you look at Pokemon Clover's Pokedex, there's way less Fakemon. Ergo, there should be less Clovermons that don't leave an impression, right? Well, unfortunately you're wrong. By like 128 Pokemon. Yep. Why was this video so short? For over 300? It's, you know, it's because of all the ones I'm neutral about. Whether because they're a poorly executed joke, weren't around long enough to make me feel something, are a thinly veiled fetish, or just have a boring design, there's unfortunately a lot of lame Pokemon in this game that I'm just not too into. Thankfully, from this point onward, I'll have something positive to say about every Pokemon here. Honestly, I don't think I can really forget Pyrolink. Well, I forgot its name, but I can't forget why it exists. You see, it was drawn while high. It's not why it's funny, though. It's actually funny because in the original Pokemon Clover wiki, which was famous fandom-wide for just being the most unreliable crock of shit ever, which makes me wonder why nobody ever wanted to fix it. In that wiki, one of the editors made the claim that Pyrolink was based off of the 12-season CBS sitcom with a primarily above 40 fanbase, 2.5 Men. If you haven't heard of this show, I don't blame you. And even worse, if you recognize this show, I'm so sorry you've had to remember it while trying to watch a funny video about terrible Fakemon.
This is the Mater Baiter, y'all.
Although not the best of the fishing fish, Baitmaster is a funny little guy with bait for blood and a candy hook. You know, for the white vans. Frankly, the prestigious lore of Baitmaster being the master baiter of the fishing line is enough for me to appreciate it, despite being in unsatisfying shape and realistically having just such a fucking ugly face.
Bruh.
These four guys are all here for the same reason. I only like them for one reason, and they'd otherwise be in the neutral opinion tier. Upboat is a little baby man. Bruckid has bruh in his name. Walrus has an Awo face, and Beat Marine is just a better water electric type than Chinchou. I said it. I don't understand why Sapalm isn't down with Floconut and Roynapalm, but there's just something about the tree coming out of the coconut and the idea of it scuttling across a sandy beach with its rancid little roots. It fills my heart with so much joy. I don't get the meme, but I appreciate it. Sexual abuse is never funny, and sexual abuse of minors is honestly kind of fucked. Yeah, I bet you're wondering how we got here from the rancid little coconut. Let me explain. It harms them mentally and physically. The children, I mean. And frankly, it just shows a complete lack of empathy or care for your fellow humans. And as such, the whole pedo bear joke was already kind of rinsed. Just a little gross. Spedo, as such, is on thin ice. That being said, Spedo is clearly another one of those Clovermons where the point of the mon isn't to celebrate something, but instead a design based around the horror of it itself. It's a hulking, terrible beast with sharp claws and abilities that highlight its cruel and selfish nature, all poorly hidden by a friendly smile and fun star pattern on its fur. Spedo is an excellent ridicule design. a way to de-weaponize fears many of us feel daily, which I believe is part of Clover's charm as a game. When spoken through the mouthpiece of the average internet troll, even something as simple as, look at this stupid fucking bear bumbling around, look at this fucking idiot, we all know it's a threat, it's not fooling anyone, can feel profoundly resonant. I still think it's lame, but you know, it's there.
Let's play football.
Honestly, I was all for putting Sockcat in neutral tier. Sure, it's a silly little soccer cat, but that's nothing particularly fun. However, I totally dig that this is a memorial Fakemon, devoted to Clovis Fernandes, a Brazilian soccer player who passed away during Pokemon Clover's development. Honestly, I'd give this Clovermon a try at some point, even if it's a little too sportsy for my liking. Better than Stuffowl in neutral, but nothing too much crazier. I think it's a little creative that Durkee is, culturally, a reference to the weird microcosm of time in the 2010s when everyone was obsessed over the concept of a turducken, as well as parodying it with increasingly silly combined foods. Oh, it's also a Vormon. It's just eating a Farfetch'd. I await a Pokemon Clover sequel with a regional Durkee that's a Stuffowl getting eaten by a big, strong, muscly Galarian Farfetch'd. Only for a huge blueberry Blaziken to come along. Better than all of Cloudcat's evolutions, but not the best Eben Isle starter. Mad respect for giving T-Rex the arms it deserves. Or maybe a Imperator? T Regina? Thanks, Big Archaeology. I can't even be sure if my favorite boomer Pokemon is even a real T-Rex. You don't see shit like this happening to Centausaurus, do you? No, it's just Centausaurus, Spinorhinus. Give her a big pair of fucking big bad close combat arms. She wouldn't let you down. Look at this dastardly character! What a charmer he is. The eagle-eyed among you may say, that's just Ridley with a fake mustache. But I would then be quick to inform you that, as you can clearly see, not Ridley's mustache is beautifully groomed and grows from his upper lip. His spaceship event is also kinda cool, and I like his foreshadowing when you enter a crashed UFO battle and you see his claw marks across the corridor before the fight starts. It's a real nice way to let you know that there's more in this spaceship here than meets the eye. Lastly, I love that in the new and improved Pokemon Clover Wiki, Not Ridley's trivia section is largely composed of damage calcs for his Heavy Slam, since he's the heaviest of all Clovermons. Well, okay, besides Losselith, who would be heavier if he has the heavy metal ability, but also technically that doesn't matter since Not Ridley's attack stat is far superior and outranges Losselith even with Stab, which is interesting since even though Losselith is far easier... Just when I forgot about Stuffowl's unending hunger, here comes Upchuckin to show that even with age, the need to feed cannot be sedated. There's plenty of interesting turkey Fakemon out there, but Upchuckin's really, it's got a very unique flavor I never would have considered. Small note, the shiny Upchuckin's two mouth heads being their own Pokemon's shinies is low-key sick as hell. I don't have the patience to grind not one but two evolution items on a Pokemon that's already kind of rare and unobtainable in the early game, and I've gotten really close to this butterfly or this chicken bird, and I feel like I already have flying type taken up on my team, and it's a lot of work. As the tertiary mascot of Pokemon Clover, Chandelure is underwhelming. The grass steel typing is cool, and the shiny's alright, but frankly, it's ugly as fuck, yo. I'd rather wait the 50 some odd levels to evolve Clover into the superior Clover specimen. Hylatrak may be in neutral, but as the trained Fakemon first impression me and many players would get comes across from Charagon. It's my personal favorite of the two, even if Charagon is still kinda bland. I mean, I suppose the trivia section is kinda funny. Oh geez, dude, is it 2014 again? Bunchy the Llama and the Lol What pair? Man, the only thing that would have made this better is putting a le at the beginning. God, I love early memes. They were so innocent and stupid. Anyways, we have proper memes built off of facts and logic nowadays. Like, me and the beans up at 3 a.m. looking for boys. Regional form based on this image? This pleases the nuts. Remarkably, this Clovermon has deep and frankly astounding origins. Never have I felt more impacted by a creature in a video game in my life. Octai's innocent eyes tells a story of loss and love, and its open, welcome arms conjure feelings of the Onion-san, a character from Undertale, a game all about how your actions have consequences, just like how the actions of a pixel artist, programmer, and moveset planner who thought they were comedy geniuses has the consequence of me having to fill this segment with words that don't have anything to do with the very obvious references that Clovermon pulls from. That being said, one time I had an Octai who crushed Polk under her nipply tentacle feet, and frankly anybody who's a Nazi smasher is a winner in my eyes. Ah shit, you got the victory bell treatment, huh, Mary Nettle? No room for the whole thing? Gotta knock that shit down a peg? Your name would be too powerful otherwise. Anyway, I like the Hydra cactus aspect as it reminds me of some of those spindly long cacti. The piranha plant mouths are pretty funny too, but the lips would have been even better if, it had not been lipless and it had those big DSLs coming. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying, guys? You know what I'm saying?
Get ready to receive some Holy Spirit.
Look, it wouldn't be right to create such a huge Pokemon ROM hack without a reference to Twitch Plays Pokemon, a frankly influential piece of media that really inspired Pokemon fans for years after the original stream was done. That being said, Lord Helix is fucking rinsed, dude. It's so boring. It's a terrible joke. I know it's sometimes cool to make lore out of, confusion. I really appreciated the fact that they were so creative with the whole fact that Twitch chat is hell, and so everyone was pressing the same buttons, kept going back to the Helix fossil. That was cool, but Lord Helix is so overplayed that it's not funny anymore. Where's the love for All-Terrain Venomoth, Air Jordan Lapras, AA Battery Jesus Zapdos, or who could forget ABBA? Yes, 4chaner, this was the ugliest thing you ever drew. I'm not mad though, it's chill. The long arms are way funny, I appreciate them. It also reminds me of Cactuar with the funny face. A wee bab with satisfying blue eyes and an even better blue shiny. Granted, Cheerly is mostly here because I used it more than I did Georific, mostly because that Pokemon is kinda underwhelming. Thankfully, the final evolution is much, much cooler. A moose Fakemon over 6 years before Pokemon first Ting-Lued. That being said, Moose Shock's design is a little underwhelming besides the clever magnet tip antlers. However, I can thank Moose Shock for providing both sparkling Moo Moo milk that carried me from mid to late game Clover, as well as feeding the farty fart fart legendary Endranther as seen by the magnet antlered skulls inside the rotting pit. Although it seems a little underwhelming as an evolution to beat Marine, please consider both this satisfying sprite and the very nice shiny. Lock eyes with the relaxed humanoid as it sings sultry tunes of a life at sea. Please consider the psychedelic way it absolutely eats every attack in the game with its highest HP set of any electric type. Yeah, this is all cool. Making a Cthulhu Pokemon using Ammonite and Amistar's color palettes and using similar shape language really brings together the design of being vaguely familiar while still underwhelmingly utilized. It's a little disappointing that it doesn't have the Comatose ability, but I suppose I can't really complain when the Zoidberg Shiny goes hard. The only lore I have about Shroofle is that it was originally going to have spots in different places on its body, similar to the Spinda's gimmick, but apparently the whole thing looked awful, so the devs scrapped it. That being said, the Pokedex entry talking about how Shroofle's spotted variants were hunted to extinction really shows how creative the developers can be despite facing adversity. The Pokedex could have said something fucking stupid, like, "One time my mom ate one of these at a lesbian orgy and it made her think everyone there was a man, so she left." But no, instead the Dex entry was properly creative and offered actual lore. God, I love when a creator can be both comedic and still take things seriously. Serious silliness. That's the name of the game. That's why a 9/11 joke is ranked above this one. Look, it's hard to properly justify why a Fakemon based on a United States tragedy is ranked so high. That being said, if one thing could be learned from this video, it's that I believe a symbol of public fear should be ridiculed, thus having its hold over us taken away. We already learned our lesson, which is tightening up airline procedures, and now we can reap the benefits. Twin Towers and Pokemon. Come on, look at these two. You gotta love them. Their dex entry says they're not good at flying, which leads me to wonder what Twinfowl looks like in flight and not just perched. Frankly, I honestly sort of like the shapes here too. Shade language really ruins me here, if I'm gonna be honest, otherwise they would not be so high. They're 3 meters tall and they weigh 413.2 kilograms, both of which convert to 911 feet tall and 911 pounds. Anyways, I appreciate that the design references the idea that, in reality, the United States itself is likely tied to the 9/11 attacks. After all, what shape does an airplane mimic if not a bird's? And what is a bald eagle if not a bird? And bald eagles are suspiciously tied to a certain ethnicity. That's right. Bald people organized the September 11th attacks. This bit fucking sucks, damn bro. Ugly fucking freak. Stupid idiot. I hate how useful it is. Fucking rancid. Very useful false swiper. There's no joke behind this mon, but it sure does look fucking cool. A little cooler than Reptril because Lizascoop looks like a Dino Trucks from the underappreciated Netflix TV show Dino Trucks, and also his sprite gives him pretty big eyes and they're cute.
Welcome to the Himalayas!
Yedum's a big, strong, handsome guy, just a real excellent, stand-up creature. I would never bother using him because one fighting move to his toe would send him flying, but, you know, the power stance is pretty sweet. Frankly, I can understand why this could be someone's favorite Clovermon, or Fakemon in general. It's a furry, it's a cyborg, the game sprite fucks expeditiously, and it hits like a truck. Too bad I have zero attachment to it because I've never bothered to train an Aplora, or even evolve it immediately and give it a moment to train with a little more power attached. Honestly, it's just it's kind of like a moot point, it feels like, if you can't use half of the Pokemon line. Even Magikarp, it's a little fun to mess around with Tackle for a little bit.
Snow Cone?
Yet another example of fantastic baby Pokemon outplaying their evolutions by sheer charisma. And Fluff Yeti would only take half the damage from a fighting move as opposed to Yedum. Frankly, that's an improvement. You'd never see an Ice Dark type with any sign of significance. Impossibility. I've never seen an Ice Dark type that is very popular. Never. I mean, there's Weavile, but it's basically just a Dark type with the Ice type attached. It doesn't really count. Two solid designs, two good M names, they're both little floaty guys, and one is a bomb and the other is a Tunuk Tunuk Toon reference. Of course, that would make these excellent Clovermons. I've never used either, but honestly, I wouldn't mind trying them both on a team one day. Maybe as a pair? I'm not sure if you guys were aware, shitting your pants? Fucking hilarious. Like, top 10 jokes. Farts aren't funny, but literally choosing to shit your pants to avoid confrontation, that's a good bit. It takes guts too, shitting your pants for the jokes. Yeah, I mean that's about it. There's no more of a joke than shitting your pants voluntarily and that being comedy gold. Speaking of gold, check out that shiny. No, not really, never mind. The base colors are a much better shout. Painfully, Frostowl was very, very close to greatness. It could have been named Snowl. Snowl? That would have been gold, with a shitty shiny and an only half cute design. Frankly, the whole reason it's up this high is that, like, you know, I care about its satisfying shapes and all that. You know, the little corona of ice crystals is pretty cool, but in this specific case, I really just liked the satisfying mouth shape of what the name would have been.
1, 2, 3,
When considering a proper fish Pokemon for a region, there are many things to consider. What fish are common in the area the region is based in? Is there any frequent practice done within the region that could be translated into a fish? Are you designing a region of largely excellent Pokemon and then you need to fuck it all up by drawing a largemouth bass playing Crips and Bloods? What if you just want to have a fishing fish? An ishy-wishy fish who likes to fish? Well, when a fish is given a fishing rod, that's already a pretty spectacular idea, but then adding on that this is a cute little guy who evolves into an ugly little guy, you get a bit of a feel for character development, which any anime needs in the slow level 15 to evolution stone arc of the series. Behold the Tex-Mex hero Carlito reference. Juarezito's funny little music note design and huge Ludicolo sombrero really reminds me that I love Subjectively's Maza region, which coincidentally didn't include a single sombrero-based Pokemon in the Pokedex. No, it's cool, I understand. I'll just take me and this Juarezito with fandom wiki specific lore about its horrific relationship with Mothlarvae, and I'll be on my way. How my eyeballs feel as they look up and down at this painstakingly rendered sprite arts is the name of the game, folks. Today on this tier is, Karan. I'm a crustacean lover, really I am, but Karan is just a pathetic, honestly boring design. It looks awkward, it's not as satisfying as either its baby or evolution, and honestly, its little mustache pisses me the fuck off. You're only here because I love your little brother and your big strong dad. You understand me, boy? Considering how fucking hilarious it is that Tic Tac is a steel ball sack, you'd think that something more fun would be done with Tic Tac's evolutions, but instead they're these weird budget Scizors that look more like what would happen if scorpions evolved with a metal coat. Tic Tac has a cute angry personality, is an excellent Voltorb reskin, and makes me wish it was paired with an even stronger and sillier Electrode reskin. As a person who used to be a Discord mod with withdrawals still in place in my silly little head of mine, I still don't have a life. But I can understand wanting to feel so scary and megalomaniacal. Big ol' honkers shaped like hammers and also having normal honkers. Call those things bonkers, know what I'm saying? The way they bonk you on the head? Yeah, I only like it so much because I love Warney and I'm just stalling for time, really. Definitely don't have any weird hidden insecurities about having boobs. No.
That is bullshit blazing to my...
Dead-named Farfignugeltron, a supposed Pokemon that existed in an anti-Pokemon mom's child's trading card set. Fans of Pokemon quickly formed themselves a beautiful creature with flowing blonde hair and green boxing gloves, a firefighting type. The type everyone loves. I appreciate the Pokemon more as a big, strong, awesome, fucking douche-weighing, big, strong, dumb, asshole strongman. He's a funny typing and has a funny origin, so don't yell at me. Ye-Rex. I rest my case. Fused Pokemon are one of the biggest fan-made concepts in the Pokemon fandom, and it's easy to see why. Sure, there are only 1,000 Pokemon, but if you fuse them, 1,000 and 1,000 becomes 1 million. And even better, there's actually 1,021 Pokemon right now, so there's technically 1,042,441 Pokemon fusions. And then you work in triple fusions and... wow, okay, yeah, no, it gets out of hand fast. Which is why it's all the more strange that of the 2 triple fusions we see in Pokemon Clover, one of them has to be Graveler, Tentacool, and Golbat, also known as Motherfuck. The lore is sweet, being made as an invasive species that is built on pissing people off, and the name being derived from the words mother and fuck, commonly exclaimed when things are inconvenient in a major way, like what you say when what feels like the 1,042,451st motherfucking tentacle spawns while you're surfing, and oh my god, why do I never bring an electric type?
Oh, that's a baseball!
A Culturemon like Shiggydig is probably one of the best examples of harmless meme culture bleeding into a creature, even if his face looks like Mr. Bigweld. You see, Shiggydig is inspired by the term I Shiggy Diggy, which is a term of disdain you would use when showing concern for others. For example, I see someone smoking a pack a day. I Shiggy Diggy. You see, I Shiggy Diggy is short for ISHYGDDT, meaning I seriously hope you guys don't do this. Just a bit of a condescending concern, classic for the internet. Add on that he's a reference to Jason Alexander when not playing his role as George Costanza in mid-tier comedy Seinfeld, and you get a satisfying Clovermon with just enough character to make it feel right. Now, if you'd found a way to fit Charlie Sheen and John Cryer's faces onto Pyrolink, that one would have shot up right up here next to Shiggydig. A meme mon? Open the gate! Oh god no, it's based on ancient 2000s memes! Close the gate! Ah, but sir, 'tis a kitty cat! Okay, well, open the gate a little. Oh god, it has the troll face! We've been trolled! This bit sucks. I like the green Frankenstein shiny though. Something about singlets scratches my brain, in both a good way and a bad way. See, it's a meme about gambling and the GET concept, in which a post's serial number ends in repeating numbers or a special sequence, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 80085. However, there's also just the plain reading of 888, 888, or so on. Frisket would be proud. That being said, this is just a single singlets, and as such, it looks like a boring stopwatch. I don't really understand GETs, but I think it's more like a cool sequential numbers thing than anything else, like catching an 1111 or 1234 on a clock.
Who's that Pokemon? It's Pikachu! It's Clefairy!
Oh great, another Pikachu mimic. Picotton's whole lore is that it's bred like a toy dog or similar to earn mad bucks for the evil scientists making creatures like Motherfuck, and I think the same scientists who made Nidorbent? It's a bit of a testy situation, but I like that they used Picotton's cute Pikachu face to explain some horrible lore, since obviously a proper way to generate money for a terrible cause is a nice product that pulls the wool over people's eyes. Maybe that's why it's so woolly. No, it's cotton candy. That being said, even just Picotton's name belies the Pokemon's use as a way to fund the big guy. What a dark reason for existence. Or should I say dank, cause its base stat total is 420! Let's go, baby! That's the funny number! Woo! Look, evolutions are the successful Pikachu mimic. They're a cute dog, fox, cat, creature. They expand on the novelties of evolution as opposed to just Pikachu's face on another small mammal. So, of course, Pokemon fan games love to give Eevee new evolutions, either for the types that haven't gotten an evolution yet, or for new types that were introduced. Pokemon Clover wags a finger at ye foolish single-type evolution creators, for Orion is a fairy dark type. But not only that, it's an Oreo cookie. A cookie that frankly tastes good and works well in anything sweet, just like how an evolution can work on any team. It's also based on VoreRP from Google+. I mean, I can't argue, sometimes a right proper scran can make you love food, but I still don't quite understand wanting to eat something alive with hopes and dreams and... ooh, a cookies and cream filling? I think I need to move on. Okay. Saber-toothed tigers are one of those long-awaited Pokemon, either as a fossil or as an ancient-leaning evolution, and here Clover chose to make it a fossil. Its hair looks both spiky and soft, its claws are goofy as fuck, I'll be honest. It's a little too lanky and edgy for me, but I appreciate that it absolutely slaughters Velociraptor Clovermon. What Velociraptor Clovermon, you say? We'll see. A common bit of unfortunate luck that follows Clover around like the plague is the age-old issue of a cute or interesting first Pokemon turning into something ugly, over edgy, or underwhelming in later stages. Granted, Kristaquill is far higher than Fluffy Yeti and the ice Pokemon that evolves into something lame criteria, but that's only because I love Krista design so much more. Ignoring the cool and long-awaited ice poison type, can we all nod and appreciate the small Ankylosaurus with his long spikes and his little mace ball and his little stalwart, determined face? His pose could use a little work, but that's not his fault. His evolution is just far too pointy for me, but I think that's just my fault that I wasn't able to handle the spiky magnitude. Granted, this is my tier list and not yours, so why don't you tell me how much you love Krista King and how much he should be in Gen 10 in the comments, huh? Bastiodon, all shield, no spikes, has a lame attack stat, 0 ability as a bulky attacker. Tricillian, all spikes, no shield, has a lame defense... no, that's not right. Has lame health... no, that's wrong too. Has a lame speed stat? Man, that doesn't even matter when it's so bulky and punches holes through fairy types like a truck. Whatever, Paradox Entei will surely have them both beat. Tresilian's blue shiny is excellent, and although its natural browns may seem unlikable, you have to remember that this game is full of color, especially in the late game. Good, subtle brown has its place in the grand artist's palette of Pokemon Clover. The only reason it isn't higher is because I never remember to revive the fossils in this game for whatever reason, and honestly I feel like if this was a six-legged Pokemon it would just look right? Not sure how to explain those feelings.
But my hope will never die.
Despite being a gamer, I'm not big on competitions. Unless there's some fun cosmetics that are reasonably easy to obtain, you can count me out of your punch each other in the dick millisecond of gunplay carpal tunnel syndrome in your 30s gameplay. Frankly, Fedorok and Fuzzagel are just dull reminders of every time some sweaty shitbird came along and kicked me in the face metaphorically with their big strong brains and their hyperactive trigger fingers. Granted, they're more fun than, say, playing Rainbow Six Siege or Call of Duty Copy 52, but that doesn't mean I have to like them. Fuzzagel and Fedorok's MLG gamer aesthetic are actually pretty funny, reminding me of days in middle school hearing about hardscoping and trick shots and going, man, that sounds ridiculous. I'm glad I don't play shooter games. And then I got into Fortnite and Borderlands, and frankly, that's the closest I've ever gotten to feeling Catholic guilt in my life. Shout out to y'all competitive console gamers, but your geriatric movement-based gameplay counterpart has you beat. But by how much? By about this much. I'm not sure how much of my feelings are based on memories of playing on the Wii in my larval years, but MLG has more than nostalgic memories to play off of. For example, he's a silly little guy. For further elaboration, his big ol' controller is big and funny. Lastly, his whole evolution line tells the story of a squeaker kid in online games maturing into a pro gamer who wrecks moms. Same little dude, same. The normal flying is a little lame though. Make him pure flying, you clover-lilied cowards. Why is this 911 Clovermon so much higher than the other 911 Clovermon? Because this one is an actual satisfying bird Pokemon, and further pokes fun at the 9/11 conspiracy that the American government organized the attack. If there's a sequel game, there better be a Saddam Hussein's hiding place meme included. What was I saying? Oh yeah, join the American military. They'll pay for your college because otherwise there's no way you will ever afford it and you will live minimum wage jobs for the rest of your life.
What the dog doing?
Before you complain about Pokemon like Snubbull or Herdier just being your mom's dog, remember that Ma's dog does it best. Frankly, the only reason why it's so funny to be just an animal is that Ma's dog frankly has a game sprite that just makes it look like a real animal in GBA sprite form. Ma's dog is a damn good boy, or girl, you have to admit it. A manatee with iron biker studs. That goes pretty hard. Better than Dugong, that's for sure. However, its ranking is derived entirely from how satisfying that shade of blue is. Too bad the back sprite doesn't show any of it, so I don't really care about using one of these on my team. Mimics are one of the funnest parts of gaming culture and development that I can honestly think of. When you consider how often something you find in nature and assume to be a rock or a plant turns out to be a little guy, it only seems fair that the greater fantasy world of video games includes lots of items that can actually turn out to be little fucking gremlins. While not my favorite mimic or even my favorite mimic in the Pokemon fandom, Valtavor is a fair shout as a tanky revenge killer. Too bad that fighting type exists or else Vault would be insane.
Get ready to receive some Holy Spirit.
Okay. Everybody, behave yourself, calm down. We can be mature about this. Armando looks like a penis. Big ol' yogurt stick, and that's pretty funny. However, this is not Armando's whole deal. Oh no. For you see, it is an early game fighting type. For those of you who are well versed, most Pokemon games front load the early game with normal and rock types, with the normals being that this is the only place that they can reliably shine, and the rock types being that, you need something to resist all the normal types running around. As such, a fighting type can be invaluable, often skyrocketing as a useful addition to a team. So, Armando being early in the game, smashing up Memes and Semdrops, crushing Landshells between its fingers, and sending Leon's Dragon into the stratosphere, you can see why he's in upper fond feelings.
Yo, listen listen up, here's the story about a little guy that lives in a blue world. And all day and all night, and everything he sees is just blue. Like him, inside and outside. Blue his house with a blue little window and a blue Corvette. And everything is blue for him and himself and everybody around, 'cause he ain't got nobody to listen.
Little guy? There's something magical about Fakemon based on religious practices, with Phoenix Dex's Kwanzaa-inspired Enguzaba being a good example. It's just such a lovely little peek into the cultural ebb and flow of the world, and it honestly gives me stronger feelings of Sonder and empathy than any non-Judeo-Christian holiday episode in a kids show. That being said, Ho Ho Homing's based on Christmas, so I can't act like I don't know the fucking Christianity-stolen holiday inside and out. Lore makes it go from alright to good, with Ho Ho Homing evidently once being used as Santa's reindeer to help his sleigh take off. But one year they crashed and doomed Christmas. Presumably, this was the crash that resulted in Santa instead recruiting Jinx to help him. And, honestly, that's not much of an upgrade, at least from appearances. But to be fair, if you're unable to take off into the air with rocket-powered reindeer, what are you gonna do? Ask Stantler for help? Weirdeer? Nah, silly, stupid. You're asking Winter Queen Jinx to toss your sleigh around using her mind powers. Oh, and I guess Ho Ho Homing's name is pretty funny. If the North Pole ever becomes a country, I suppose they'll be prepared for war, you know? Velociraptors are another type of animal where fans are going to be frothing at the mouth for Pokemon based on it until it happens or all Velociraptor lovers die. Before you ask, yes, this Fakemon is an accurate Velociraptor. It's short and skinny instead of big and clever. Granted, it looks more like a Mononicus Pokemon than any sort of Velociraptor, but I don't blame the spriters for not adding more claws on a sprite whose arms are so tiny. The Pokedex says Poizuki meat gives you cancer when you eat it, and the creature itself is worse than Hitler. But I don't know. I feel like there's some differences. Maybe a few things that would make one of the two of them worse? A sweet little baby, my beloved kitty cat. As a loving cat owner, I miss my little fluffy boys, and so I feel myself often gravitating towards cat Pokemon and Fakemon. My favorite cat Pokemon is Delcatty, my favorite cat Fakemon is Sabrek, and god damn, that shiny. Smooth as fuck. If only Hunterbray's shiny was more on the Blanche emo side than the goth side, then maybe this would be a 2-tenant ranking. Mocking is one of the best examples of internet culture that would convince someone that the whole World Wide Web thing really isn't all that. Razzing? Chicanery? Mockery? Based on the Spurto Sparta meme of a bear used to mock newcomers to a Swedish 4chan board, Spargle has a cry that I frankly cannot in good conscience say on YouTube, and its evolution is vaguely tenable at best. Spargle is exclusively up this high due to his good design. God, I am such a fucking fool for satisfying shapes. This is ridiculous. Nostalgia is a powerful thing. Fond memories of colors, shapes, music, and so forth as a child can lead to exponential growth in a human's mind, influencing opinions and choices decades after childhood is done and over with. Considering Pokemon's advertising as a children's media for the first 2 generations, it leads to a lot of strong opinions in people who played it as a child and have now grown into adults. Children love big strong things that deal damage and wreck house, so of course Gen 1 Pokemon like Nidoking and Rhydon impress deeply on young, malleable minds, which is why Krokaizen exists. Some Millennial or Gen X Clover devs just absolutely adore the monstrous Pokemon of Gen 1, I guess, making Krokaizen as the result. I have to say, he's cooler than 90% of the Gen 1 Pokemon, so I can see the hype. Big Clock. Tripsius is the type of Objectmon that honestly leaves eyebrows raised as to whether it even matters at all. Thankfully, only my opinion matters in this fun little bubble I have developed, and I think Trippius is pretty cool. His more number-based details like stats, weight, and so on are all about triplicate repeated numbers, and that's funny in a makes my brain happy sort of way. He's also a fucking Force Ghost robot hologram Freddie Mercury's ace, and we love Freddie Mercury in this house. Little possessed ghosts are cool, okay? What can I say? The ghost psychic type is unique and frankly something I want to see more of, but I'll never use it because Edgy, the main rival of the game, uses Deem Dow and later Dowster, and I'll be honest, Deem Dow isn't cool enough to use while overlapping with Edgy's team. Aku Aku Bug. Aku Aku Bug. Excellent tinder for fire. Very good against ground type gym leader. That being said, it's crazy held back by the official Clover Google Sheets saying Ooga Booga's shiny is the same exact colors as normal Ooga Booga? Yuck.
What the dog doing?
A smaller, cuter Manitorque. I only wished he had just one spike on each arm, cause that would be more cute and chibi-esque. His little cub-chewed snot droplet is also adorable. I don't actually like Spookzilla, he's just so skeleton, and skeletons are cool. Spookier is a little closer to something I'd like, but he's still underwhelming and therefore down here. From a boring triple Clovermon to a funny triple Clovermon. Triceps, the fidget spinner. That depression in the middle of its body looks so smooth and satisfying to rest the pad of my thumb on. I like it. Granted, the BO coming from this thing probably smells awful if I got close enough to put my thumb in there, so maybe I should avoid it. Frankly, this isn't even the best of the big strong arms Clovermons, even if the back sprite proves that this one has the best ass. After the triple fisting Clovermon, the ass Clovermon is next. It even has a shiny that looks like Marge Simpson's butt. Or Mr. Burns' butt. Sometimes all it takes to be in the fond feelings tier is a right gooey body. Also, considering the stupid amount of HP sapping moves in this game, Galavic's Liquid Ooze can really kick opponents in the butt. Can I be honest? The Landshell line gets worse with every evolution. Midrill barely looks worthy of being on my team, and god, Shuri Smash is lame as hell. At least the first evolution is fun to look at, before things get too smooth. Finally, the Indian elephant. All those old Pokedex entries talking about Indian elephants taking fat hits and getting shattered by Pokemon attacks. Who could these entries possibly be referring to? Elephas, why do you ask? I'm a little disappointed it never evolves into something super cool like a Vishnu type of super elephant, but I suppose a reasonably tanky single evolution is worth something. A slightly funnier pile of shitty memes, a shit poster. Molded by the dank humors. It's a little bigger, a little stronger, and honestly a little nicer. I like it marginally more than Maymay. The fictional third Pokemon Clover region of Keko, presumably a very funny region full of very cool little guys, has another faithful Grass, Fire, Water core. Zowdoge is the final evolution of the Fire starter, and is actually just a Charizard but a little different. In fact, it's almost hilarious that the Pokedex entry references it being perceived as a Dragon type while not actually being a Dragon type. It reminds me of my desire to see a starter trio where every starter evolves into a different Dragon dual type that just happens to represent different dragons across human culture, like a Long, a European four-limbed and winged dragon, and I don't know, the Rainbow Serpent, probably. What was I talking about? Oh, Zowdoge. It's alright. Evidently, Toxiraptor was named after a Darkspore creature, which frankly disappoints me. We could have had so many spore creatures like one of the Cells, or Bean, or Markiplier's or maybe those two lobsters having sex. But, nah, glorified Velociraptor. Furthermore, Toxiraptor was only included because an anonymous kept insisting to include it, which makes me like Toxiraptor even less. The only reason it's up here is because the design weaponizes the annoyingness and gives it the poison type.
Yeah.
Freakish little goblin, nasty goblin creature. Very nice. Granted, this goblin would be better if there were gender differences, but whatever. I guess this is a Kamen Rider reference? I don't get it. Somebody explain in the comments. His face is cute. I like the little cutscene event including him, and lastly, I feel like he would be better if he was Bug Electric. I actually really love Muscle Dude. His faces are boobs, his rear deltoids look like a flat ass, and he's just a fighting type Geodude as God intended. The muscle bulges implying body hair are a fun extra detail and make me think about coconuts. This Fakemon fucking prophesized COVID-19. I'm not joking. It was created and added to Pokemon Clover a few years before 2020. Granted, one of its evolutions being based on Ebola made things a bit clearer that the Clovermon was directed towards more of the recent events for the time, like the Ebola virus. In fact, a later design higher up on this list probably references the Zika virus scare as well. Ignoring all that, the wing-like ears of Nazeon give it a wonderful taste of whimsy that any early route Pokemon needs. The secondary mascot of this game deserves a resting place here in Upper Fond Feelings bracket. Even if his big cute face implies shitty abilities like Sap Sipper or Natural Cure, I'm relieved to say that it actually has better abilities like Super Luck or Serene Grace. He's square, he's reliable, his shiny is frozen piss, and he's goofy What else can I say? And Binding is born every time ketchup is put in the fridge. This is funny, because he's smaller and therefore better than Impliant. See, the thing about Typo Bop and his evolution Yi-Rex is that the whole point of the design is a reference to the meme they come from. I showed you the Yi bit of the video, but I suppose I should show you the rest. And that's why Typo Bop and Yi-Rex are thought of fondly, but, you know, it's not enough that they're in any of the beloved tiers above this. This sweet little baby boy is wonderful, like a close relative to Fido that isn't a total soy boy. I believe in beef frank hot dog supremacy. The unique choice to take away Zika virus representing Venowat's bug type to make it poison, ending in an electric poison type, leaves me to wonder what other Pokemon would be good if they were just given a different type upon evolution. As a Larvadese and Proboscido lover, I'm deeply pained to see Venowat dropping its bug type family name, thus leaving me to reject it as my own. You're lucky that Smooth Shiny saves your ungrateful bug-abandoning ass. Cockroach looks like a sans cockroach. This is probably a reference to the round face syndrome a lot of children's cartoons use for their character designs, an art style that was deemed bad by the pedophile who was included in the production of Ren and Stimpy. I know being a pedophile has nothing to do with art experience, but I feel like we shouldn't take his opinions as top priority, shall we? Cockroach is lovely. He's a good Clovermon.
With anchor arms! They slip on like a glove!
Anchor arms! A gimmick from a SpongeBob episode I've never watched. He has these arms, presumably unrelated to his own skills, and his boisterous shitbag behavior certainly confirms that he's way too strong for his own mind to handle. I like the design, and another pirate Pokemon is always welcome. Creepypasta was a cornerstone of 2010's internet, and was prominent in my life as a middle schooler. I don't really like the stuff myself, but my childhood best friend was obsessed with it. Even though he and I are no longer on speaking terms because high school Mishimashi is a bag of dicks, I still have names like Ben Drowned, Smile Dog, Slenderman, and Jeff the Killer burnt into my mind. Chancer is a really cool shout-out to what was honestly a very large portion of internet culture for a time, and I appreciate the creative twisting of Chancer's egg into Chancer's grifted bleeding heart. That thing certainly looks like a rotten egg.
I've had over 40 pizzas in the last 30 days.
Shout out to Chizetta, a Pokemon who was so gooey that sometimes when she got attacked, the game crashed. That's what I call Mad Zaza. Chizetta leaves some unsavory implications considering that it's hot food, and also hot food, but I suppose I can't complain when Water Absorb got her so juicy she resuscitates herself off of a fire hose. I'm just confused about how she moves around. Is it like a slug? Or is that pizza slice more like a magic carpet?
I can make orange rhyme with banana. Or nana.
Ah yes, Bolognos, my spaghetti. You have returned to me. For far too long I have desired to once again feel my palms sweaty, my knees weak, and my arms heavy. And now Mom's spaghetti can imbue me with this power once again. With water absorb and a proper earthquake, I will never feel defeat once more.
The pizza is aggressive.
Huzzah! Another victory for Objectmons. The birdhouse is aggressive! With an expansive move pool loyal to normal types, pretty good defensive stats to easily take most attacks, and such a misleadingly boring design that you'd underestimate it, Birdhouse is a beautiful early game Clovermon. Hell, even Lil Bro shows that it has some use in the mid-game.
It's time for big greasy muscle time! It's Midland and the proteins time! It's big sexy men dealing big fatty dubs with the swollen powerful bodies! Kuroba has his level 60 chastity power up, Hazmate has that brutal fairy type counter, and Rakroach is a fucking fighting type abstaining legend!
Did you guys know that giving Douster the same silhouette as Chandelure was actually a design choice from the developers to show off how dead Chandelures turn into Douster? And hey, by the way, this is halfway through the video, so why don't you guys like and subscribe now, and you can come back to more cool content next time. Tuniking fucks unbelievably, bro. He's so big and strong. He's a reference to one of the best music videos in the world, and his fire psychic typing crushes half of the gyms in Fochin, as well as helping expeditiously in the Elite Four and in the Eben gyms. I bet Tuniking would fit in with the other Paldean treasures of Ruin. He shall be Lakitu of Ruin, decreaser of health stats. These two Clovermon are honestly fucking brutally excellent, representing deities of SFW and NSFW content on the internet. So like, Grifferwork is the patron god of cute cat videos and scientific research papers, while Bornograph is the patron god of porn and, I don't know, the Funky Town video. The point is, Grifferwork and Bornograph are great examples of why unofficial Pokemon games like Clover are great. Where else can we see human minds explore the powers of purity and super fucked up shit anywhere besides unofficially sponsored Pokemon content? Oh, good and evil is in like every media? Shit. Well, I think this one's funnier, and that's what matters most to me. On to Mons I truly like, ones that make me feel something more than vague appreciation. This is what I call the good bug boys section. Just very good bugs. They're all lovely, sure, and I've used them all on my team before, but they don't give me, like, overpowering feelings of love. Formiga and Maripyro make me want to eat nachos, and Araketsu makes me want to purchase Fiskars scissors. Satisfying shape really took this Clovermon far, huh? Abortions are chill. They are, I promise. But Embortion here just looks so adorable. If in the Pokemon world aborted Charmanders have Embortion ghosts, then I think I'd have to be a ghost-type trainer and befriend all the poor things. Legitimately, Embortion gives me really weird parental emotions. Luckily I don't have to rate it too high, because Embortion evolves in a fetus Mewtwo who is also Gigas. And as much as it may look helpless, I have a feeling that baby Mewtwo can keep itself safe. I haven't mentioned it yet, but the calls for Clovermons are almost all unique, leading to some interesting sound crafting. For example, Glasshot's cry is a gunshot and glass breaking, because it's gun and it's going to break. Seriously, it may have a pretty good early game speed stat, but Glasshot's defenses are so piss poor that if I'm honest, I wouldn't be surprised if a rather warm summer's day would obliterate it entirely, evaporating it into water vapors and microplastics. Okay. What boomer sprite artist made Batarex an upright animal even though Tyrannosaurs were specifically scientifically proven to be more efficient in a semi-horizontal posture? Damn, and y'all say that its tail detaches and grows too? What the fuck, dog? T-Rexes ain't no fucking gecko type shit. And you tried to make him cool with the classic shonen character wrapping their limbs in bandages. You fucking schmelts. Batarex would be better if it was black and red. Just a couple of birds, dude. These two would fucking shit all over your car, dropping some multiple gallon guac slush. Smoxillian's a damn poison type, and Carooster looks like it's made of KFC or Popeyes, so maybe the guac slush would be more like an elephant's foot? Go find a fucking porta potty or some shit. You two are making it impossible to walk outside without having to pop 5 Radexes. Bucketley is one of those Clovermon where, if it was real, I'd probably write it off as boring. Either because Game Freak wouldn't let it evolve, and would make it fucking 5% encounter or something, or because they would choose to make it pathetically weak like some sort of filler Pokemon like Chimecho or Meowstic. Meanwhile, Clover's Bucketley is so tanky and punchable that they can shake a stick at whatever they want, and they're common enough where they are that you can't consider them an issue. And best of all, Bucketley evolves into Loss.
Alright, fatty, adopted fatty, fatty, no parents. What?
What exactly is wrong with being adopted?
What's wrong with being adopted? Lack of parents.
Kickuple and Fonduple are two cute little food Pokemon made from equal parts sugar and spice. Their origins come from 2 things. A, the term "the cake is a lie," a wonderful quote from the influential Valve-developed games Portal and Portal 2. I'm not sure how the cake is a lie in this situation, since this is indeed a cake, but maybe it's coming from the lolcow interpretation of the cake is a lie, where you say it whenever you want as long as a cake is involved. Or B, it's a reference to feeders, a BDSM class in which either a dominant or submissive feeds their partner so much food that their partner grows in weight. This is fetishized to large degrees in drawn artwork, displaying characters growing to the size of planets or having so much fat congealing inside their bodies that their limbs are obscured by balls of flesh. I choose to forget the second origin, as you must now do, and I think the best way to change the subject and stop thinking about it would be showing you this excellent K-couple me that I found. Squirrap failed at one thing when he tried to come up as the biggest, baddest son of a bitch in the streets of Fochin. He wasn't Biggie Cheese, baby! Squirrap is not bombastic, he is not fantastic, and frankly he is dripless. Gamster's shiny fucks especially hard, and his sheer tenacity to learn Toke at level 69 is so powerful that I'm moved to tears. I would never assign myself to a game because Biggie Cheese's philosophy to fuck bitches and love life doesn't have a color, gender, race, or lifestyle. Besides a lifestyle that includes fucking bitches and living life, of course. This bit wasn't a good idea, was it? What's next on the script? Oh, okay. Chancer may have been spooky, but Hangini is truly horrifying. Where is all that blood coming from? How does it fly around on that noose? And worst of all, she loses her awesome pants when she evolves. There's a reason why I like Hangini, but only feel fond for Chancer. I'm not sure if I've ever said this, like, ever, but I love breaded chicken. Fry it, turn it into chicken nuggets, slap it in the oven. Breaded chicken slaps. And on top of that, potatoes are awesome, but they're best as French fries. Ergo, Fryden is the best of its evolution line of Kengyon, Fryden, and Carooster. Chicken Figumon usually don't land too well, especially if they try to look cool, but I think Fryden is a good middle ground between Blaziken, who is a 1 in a million chance, and whatever this goofy-ass chicken is I chose to be as the other side of the example. What a fabulous boy! This butterfly wings and tiara sorta goofy guy are the sort of silly zestiness that I feel like a Pokemon needs more of in their designs. Fabcube is one of those Clovermon where it feels implied that the developers are making fun of queer culture, but honestly as a pansexual who wishes they were conventionally hot, this Fabcube is an absolute icon of not having to look sexy to be sexy. Work that runway or walk that parade, Fabcube. Just, don't stay in the sun or spotlight for too long, because that would definitely hurt. Yeah, you'd be the first Pokemon to evolve 3 times. Introducing Fabcube's new evolution, Puddle.
Fly me to you, let me play among T-tars.
Smogon is another one of those gaming pursuits that I catalog under those frustrating competitive games that fuck up your mental state, give you carpal tunnel syndrome, and knee-high you in the dick a few times. That being said, Smogarobin is adorable, and I mean, how can you be so mad at one of the only 2 baby Clovermons? His shiny is slick, and he did not steal Lycanroc's girlfriend. Now this shit right here, it's some good shit. Did you know that Cacodemon spelled backwards actually spells out poop? Also, despite the name implying it's related to Doom, this is actually more based on the Great Mighty Pooh, as he is going to throw his shit at you. A huge supply of Tish comes from his chocolate starfish. It's a huge pile of shat, so how about that? Sometimes I'm happy knowing that this game's Fakemon development stopped after a certain point, because something tells me that Conchilla's shiny would have been green like Grogu if this design came out a couple years later. That, or an NPC would angrily talk about how much Conchilla's existence ruined the canonicity of their favorite fantasy series. Whatever, the shell on its butt is only kind of adorable, and it's not even my favorite bunny Clovermon. Pupacti is a sweet little guy, really, and I love how he looks like he's a little squishy along with his prickles. His baby shiny Hydreigon vibes are impeccable. He fights pretty well, his puppeteer ability gives him bug-type stab, and honestly I'm glad they didn't just give him the bug-type as well and give him a 4x fire weakness. When I want a shrimp Pokemon, I usually get excited about things like Clauncher, or maybe Dark and Windy's Shrimpy. More abstract designs usually don't hit as well, which is why I'm amazed that Pronch's out-of-left-field design genuinely blows my mind. It looks more like freshly prepped for chomping shrimp that you'd find paired with cocktail sauce, and the fist on the end is honestly the sort of quirky spin I would have expected from the Clover devs at this point, but am still thankfully surprised to notice. I'm sure part of my love for Pronch comes from Crocker, the traded Pronch that makes Brock's gym a cakewalk, but I believe I'd like this funky shrimp anyway. Eben Island's starters are Reptike, Feriok, and Clowcat. For those who remember correctly, I don't like Reptike much. He's just underwhelming? But Feriok and Clowcat are lovely. Clowcat I love more on her own, as she's just a beautiful ball of fluff, but Feriok I enjoy more because they evolve into something greater. If I'm being honest, as much as I love speaking to every NPC in Pokemon games, I don't think I get even close to reading every sign. There's just something about how it's not connecting with characters and more like reading a sign that I just can't find myself getting into it. Clover, however, remedies this by making an exhilarating game of chance, where some signposts you read could turn out to be Psynot or Reagan. I mentioned earlier that I love mimics, didn't I? The graffiti is a fun addition, though it tends to be a bit much on Reagan. Heaven hath no fury like a menopause. That's the saying, right? No? Damn bro, I don't remember asking. The far superior evolution to Cheerly and Terrific, menopause is primarily a joke about menopause, which is a very impactful moment in most women's lives. The choice to make menopause an unstoppable ass-kicking machine after they're rendered infertile is a little mixed for a message, but I choose to believe she's just empowered by her lack of periods punching her in the gut every month. She's actually pretty strong as well, meaning she's not just a punchline and a pretty face. She cannot breed with other Pokemon, similar to Nidoqueen, which for some reason is the only non-legendary non-baby Pokemon that can't breed, which was presumed to be a reference to rhinoceroses not breeding well in captivity, but that's a whole other thing. I'm getting off point. Gladiator, the menopause? I love you, dog. Fandom fave shitbird Dio Brando was popular for his catchphrase, maybe it was actually, it might have been no wait, I got it. His catchphrase is whatever the case, Diobad is one of the two JoJo Clovermon in this hack, the other being its evolution, and so his tiny stature and itty-bitty face may make you think that JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is about tiny boys being little shitbirds. You would be wrong. No further questions. Diobad's little suspenders and his nasty haircut harken back to Teenage Dio from Part 1, Phantom Blood, in which Dio is a tiny boy being a shitbird. Fuck. He even steals first kisses. What a dastardly internet predated e-boy. What is this? An apartment for ants? Yes, childhood hero Ben Stiller, militants live here. Now, I appreciate Apartment for what it is, and rather not how it performs in battle. Only a 500 BST and a bug rock type leaves it wanting. However, the lore of this apartment, storing tons of itty-bitty militants like some sort of ant queen carrying her colony on her back, fucks expeditiously. If Apartment was just a little cuter, or maybe if it plus its pre-evolution were available earlier in the game, Apartment would definitely be in the epic favorite tier. Man, you know I always got that strap on me. That Monstrap. No, but for real, Monstrap is low-key kinda cool. It's another This Is Bait Clovermon, but this one references actual clickbait by having a real bodacious babe hanging off of its lure, like how clickbait videos always have conventionally attractive women in the thumbnails to make you choose that possibly otherwise lackluster video. Kinda scummy, maybe a little dark, but as far as I'm concerned, it's a harmful and backwards way to draw attention. Hold on, I need to check what my thumbnail is. Okay, no, I just used massive clickbait circles and arrows instead. That's less harmful. Monstrap also has a massive shit-eating grin, which in this specific case is very endearing to me. I think if you got rid of the hood ornament on its hook and slapped on a berry or have a fish Pokemon wrapped around it, I feel like Monstrap could definitely be a real Pokemon. These 3 Clovermons are all here because I love fish Pokemon. I'm not joking. Most of them are excellent. They're fantastic even. Praystish is cool because you can't tell which part of it is the fake fish. Sadfish is cool because it's best with its natural ability and actually gets worse if you try to give it the ability-changing pill, a metaphor for how sometimes medication makes things worse. As well as Sadfish reminded me of the Pout Pout fish. Korshark is funny because he's a pirate shark, and are you fucking kidding me? Pirates are awesome, and obviously a shark should be a pirate, dude. How the fuck have we had an evil team who was literally pirates and we never got a pirate Pokemon? As you just saw, I love fishing and hate my wife. Oh, that is, unless my wife is a wife, man. Guys, this is just a blue woman. This isn't even Gardevoir, where it's like, whoa, does she have a mouth? Where does her dress start and her body end? Hold on, she's definitely just some sort of psychic apparition ghost, right? No, Wifeman is a human. If Pokemon let you capture Jessie from Team Rocket and use her Fury Swipes to win the Kanto League, you're insane if you think I wouldn't take that chance. Why don't I just play Final Fantasy or Fire Emblem if I want to see colorful humans duke it out? Because Pokemon's battle system is satisfying. My brain chose to hyperfixate on colorful creatures like this blue woman instead of something so complicated as this war game simulator with this blue woman with a sword. Priosu has a design inspired by beloved, late and great Nintendo president Satoru Iwata, may he rest in peace, and a name inspired by Shigeru Miyamoto's famous quote, "A delayed game is eventually good, but a rushed game is forever bad," a philosophy that clearly Bethesda got confused about and somehow found a way to delay their games and make them bad. Jokes aside, Priosu's mildly insensitive everything is dampened by how respectful the developers were with this Clovermon and its evolution. Priosu and its evolution are powerful, and they were very restrainingly not given the Ghost type despite it originally being considered during development, and they have wonderful abilities that shine true as a powerful electric type that can certainly clean up house. Its signature ability, wait for it, has the user and Priosu, or Understand, wait a couple turns before they gain a single stage Omni boost that preps them to either crunch up their foes or to pass the stats off to an ally partner to allow them to crunch up their foes. Frankly, this is a far better Memorial Clovermon than Soccat is. Sorry, Clovis Fernandez, maybe next time? Oh, and I just have Priosu up here because he's cuter than Understand.
I'm a bun, I'm a tasty, tasty bun to be baked and eaten. Oh, how fun!
4chan's tendency to drop older threads quickly leads to dead threads, also called dead breads. Voila! Deadweed is born. So no, there's no meme here, but he's a wonderful boy. Granted, I think breathing near Deadweed would absolutely wreak havoc on my lungs, so no hugs for this guy. Its entire body is made of rock. If any part chips off in battle, it attaches rocks to repair itself. It is said to have slept in a glacier for thousands of years. Its body can't be melted, even by magma. Tempered by pressure underground over tens of thousands of years, its body cannot be scratched. These are some of the many Pokedex entries speaking of the Hoenn-Regi trio, Regirock, Regice, and Registeel. The lore speaks of these powerful, indomitable golems that reassemble themselves or simply cannot be harmed at all. And yet, no matter how hard it tries to repair itself using various stones to become whole again, it cannot stay together. Exposure to intense heat has destroyed its body and raised its temperature to a lethal level. Ravaged by extreme oxidation, it has lost most of its limbs and has limited mobility unless provoked. Holy shit, dude, that's fucking brutal. Did Pokemon Clover kill the Regis? Now, although there's certain implications about which Clovermon or even which Eldritch forces could have possibly cursed or destroyed these previously powerhouse legendaries, the game never explains these total lore stumps. The Regis are just fucking dead, guys. Not only that, but the new event for them is both a love letter to the original Cryptic Braille puzzle from the Ruby Sapphire Emerald games, along with being given a quirky twist that only Clover could come up with. The theme for these three is also sick as fuck. I love these Dregis, especially the fact that there's no real explanation as to why they exist. Some things are best left forgotten. Why have I put such a simple, satisfying design up so high? I'm at a loss.
Nice cock, bro. Hand it over.
Sometimes the best explanation for why I love something is as simple as me being a pathetic weeb. I mean, come on, look at this guy. Nothing personnel, kid. When you were partying, I was studying the blade. The bit where they pull the sword out just to put it back, and it's because they chopped you up so fast that all you saw was them slowly draw the sword and leisurely put it back, leaving the slicing as a blur. I love Honraid because I'm a pathetic, sword-loving weeb. Sorry guys, I wasn't strong enough. I mean, okay. Also, it's a baby Parasaurolophus with a sword. You genuinely are not allowed to judge me for liking it so much.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine.
As Halloween draws nearer, I can feel the Halloween spirit coming inside of me. If you think I'm gonna put a skull ghost anywhere except where I can like it, you're crazy. Now, of course, I don't like Spookier or Spookzilla as much as Spookster, since the skull and ghostly body bits as an itty-bitty baby, it fits the best there. But that just means Spookster should treasure its youth before it becomes, I don't know, ugly? Stupid? Something like that. Shout out to the Bone Zone ability that raises the power of its bones.
The giant enemy spider.
As my third favorite Studio Trigger anime, Kill la Kill is the sort of show where if you admit you like it, you're gonna get weird looks. Family Guy? No weird looks. Sons of Anarchy? Your grandma will love you for it. WandaVision? No weird looks. The show where an orphan wears a bikini to denounce clothing and the animation is so smooth that you could have sworn it has more frames per second than real life? Someone's gonna furrow their brow. Your grandma will probably disown you too. Despite how sketchy the show is, it's important to remember that the actual point of the show is to teach people how to understand their limits and go beyond them little by little. There's probably also a metaphor about, like, generational trauma or something, but I got lost in Ragu's massive hair to remember what the plot was. Speaking of massive hair, remember when Ryuko almost killed herself by turning into an imbalanced amalgam of alien fibers and blood? That's what the silly spider is. And despite me gushing about this ridiculous cartoon, I'm still not as pathetic of a fan as whoever wrote this trivia section. It's all Coomer this, Chad that. But what about the trad wife, Caroline? She's more than just a bird who is very important. She's a talking bird. Evidently, she's just the unchanged Christian bird OC of DeviantArt user Prayer Meeting, and I appreciate the sort of ballsy candor it takes to turn some random OC into a Clovermon. Sure, you can have your overly religious vanilla talking quail, or you can have your overly adventurous, spicy Frankenstein woman with arms aflame and a ponytail that gets tied back when you're the one on the receiving end. of a crunch, on the receiving end of a crunch from the mouth on its ponytail. Demi-waifu is one big play on the Pokemon community's tendency to find certain Pokemon more attractive than others, which is problematic for a few different reasons. Granted, we don't really know if Pokemon are more like animals or more like mythical beasts similar to harpies or centaurs, so it's possible that... Who am I kidding? I'm just letting out a sigh of relief that the Alola trifecta of Serena, Salazzle, and Primarina weren't revealed while this design was being made, or else we'd likely have a much saucier event legendary to fight Christian over. Granted, I would not have complained if, say, Girl Boss Ogerpon was added to Demi-waifu. Have her lugging a huge cudgel, mayhaps? Meta-defining. You always need that in a girlfriend. You all know the gist by now. I love good shapes. Just good, shapey mons. Circular, square, triangular, doesn't matter. If it's a little guy and shaped real nice, I'll love him. Warney is real funny. I named mine Walter. Fresrai is fun because it has the ability Truant, meaning every other turn it loafs around. And lastly, Lanchel has these little gemstones on it that remind me of those good translucent crystal Lego pieces, and that's just excellent content. That being said, you all know that these three's evolutions haven't reached as high as these little guys, and that's unfortunately because their designs just aren't as heat as Ball with Crystals, Bread, and Wet Floor Sign. I personally believe that Gen 9 of Pokemon is one of the best generations we've ever had. Unrelated to my opinions, they dropped 6 new dog Pokemon and I really like the Clovermon Wienabark. His little basset hound face, the way his tail trails off into flames, the fact that he looks so determined. Oh boy, I sure do hope his sprite isn't vastly inferior in every way. Aw man. Though I can't confidently say I've ever caught or had a Hodtog, Wienabark, or Sowdoge in any of my playthroughs, the two different sprites I know of are the Clover Google Docs somewhat Rottweiler-esque Wienabark, and the less reputable fan wikis Iwasake Wienabark? None of these are the Basset Hound I was sold on, which really hurts my heart as a floppy boy enjoyer. Sorry Wienabark, but even if I love your, concept art, you unfortunately look like Dookie Water or an incorrectly typed JoJo reference, and I won't stand for it. Maybe one day I'll sprite you a proper front, back, and shinies. I was a little worried that Beta Coron would be a sign of terrible things to come for Crocker, Big Fist, and Cock Lobster, my individual playthrough branches, but I was happily surprised to find that Mobster is just as elite of a Clovermon as Pronch was. Although his shiny could have used some work, maybe a blue lobster like the rare IRL shinies, maybe a big yellow and black shiny like Uma Thurman and her famous two-parter, I'm not such a big fan of this Bill guy and something should be done about him. Oh well, I can't complain about more crustaceans in my Pokemon and Fakemon games. Mapster, you're alright by me.
I'm at the
Goo! And Goo's weird cousin, Gak. Yeah, these are cum Clovermon, and it's hilarious. As far as I can tell, neither of these Clovermon are related to each other, as Semdrop evolves predictably while Kozlode turns out to be a euphemism for the human foreskin and actually evolves into two of my favoritist Clovermon in the whole game. To each their own. Semdrop's shiny is Blood, which is either a reference to peeing blood or period blood, and I mean they're not funny origins, but they're creative, I'll say that. It's better than it just being another pea shiny, which at this point has gotten old. Kozlode's shiny, meanwhile, is a Martian green, and unrelated to its shiny at all, but very related to this origins. Did you know that the anonymous Russian YouTuber Korny found a way to germinate his semen and create small homunculi that he suspends in fluids and feeds various proteins and other base nutrients to assist their growth? Something about this world-shattering and clearly somewhat next-gen biology lesson gives me faith that our future is paved with man-made horrors beyond my comprehension.
I'm at the
While this is indeed the final evolution of Semdrop, there's actually a stage in between that I like more than the other two, so I have Semen Demon here. Did you know that Seaman Demon is a colloquialism for a fictional character that a male internet troll is attracted to? When used in a sentence, you would say, "Who is this Seaman Demon?" as a disgusting way to ask for their name, of course. Boy, isn't the internet wonderful? Seaman Demon is painfully good at taking strong attacks with its 5-foot, almost 200-pound body, making me wonder, who made this guy? Analogy. No, wait. Analgy? Wait, no, hold on. Anal gay. Okay, yeah, that's what it needs to be. More seriously, it's anal algae. Anal gay. Sorry, analgy. I just find it a little funny since he has a plant in his ass. Wait, I never revealed the grass and water starters for Fochin, the main starters of the game, did I? Well, you'll just have to wait and see, won't you? The Wantnot, as a Pokemon, is just a huge trash monster that needs you to have a mathematics degree to operate. A clever but unfortunate nod to how some college-educated people still end up getting low brain power jobs like waste treatment. However, as a concept, Wantnot's all about how a lot of people on the internet have trash takes, or how some people are garbage. I rate that. I appreciate it. I agree that the satisfying shape of trash trucks are certainly worthy of a Fakemon design. I don't care if you're in D&D, Prey, Dark Souls, or Pokemon, a good surprising mimic encounter is fantastic. From as complicated as a refrigerator to as simple as a treasure chest, anything could be hiding inside. Whoa, check out this can of... Oh, yeah. Yeah, this ranking spot goes to Spanky, nothing to do with mimics except that funny connection I made. Spanky is just a really silly guy. He's got the Mike Tyson teeth, he's better than any Ekans or Viper I can think of, and best of all, he's a satisfying shape. Okay, I tricked you. This is the mimic I was alluding to earlier. Like a mimic, I tricked you? Okay. The sprites for this guy are satisfying. Their proclivity for holding nuggets to steal from and grind money for makes them even better, and their mauve shiny totally reminds me of the way a purple chest will look in Stardew Valley. All that considered, I actually love Chompest because the game is so sassy about it. See, Chompest in-universe are able to camouflage themselves to look like Pokeballs, which is either a meta jab at how the Pokeball sprite in the overworld is huge, or how item containers in Fochin just happen to be huge and chest-like. I choose to believe that it's a meta jab. Regardless, when Pokemon Clover first introduces Chompest, it's done through a conspicuous signpost in early game Mount Moot, saying, "Hey man, not every Pokeball you find on the ground is really a Pokeball. Some are Chompest." And then there's this goofy-ass Looney Tunes feeling where your eyes slowly peek over at a Poke chest resting nearby that has you going, And when you walk over, of course it's a Chompest, but with a game as sneaky and silly as Clover, you're left to wonder for just a moment if they're faking you out. I love Chompest, and I sincerely hope I find a shiny one soon. And I won't evolve it because Scarlet and Violet showed me how amazing metallic shinies look, and now I can never go back to imagining a bronze, silver, or gold shiny. Meaning, if anything, something like Valtavor is just gonna make me feel like shit.
Dick.
Look at this quirked up pile of smegma. I'm sorry, I can't come up with a better joke than, sorry, you didn't clean your dick properly? It has mud now. Your human body can just create mud. Yeah, that's so absurd that seeing this Clovermon just exist makes me go, heh, yeah. Now, I honestly do wish Semrust had the later introduced but technically unofficial Semush evolution introduced in Pokemon Ultra Fire Red XD, because that little freak is pretty awesome. But anywho, I'll head out, because I just said the word smegma, and I'm pretty sure my mom's watching this.
Yeah, now some of you might be wondering, how exactly does one beat like a sheep?
Take it away!
Yo dog, if you meet these two in an alleyway, you better bend over. Honestly though, Rickosuave as the ace of Bendova of the Elite Four completely crushes you the first try or two, because he's just so dense. Like literally, his HP stat is thick. He doesn't even have crazy high defensive stats either. He's just dense with the meat, I guess. Rickersheep is much more of a cutie pie though, a little guy who probably locomotes like those animals from the Bound and Wild series. In all, I love the light pink shinies. They look like bubblegum. The evolution to Fairyok, with no further evolution in sight? Sheesh, the next evolution must be Excellent, yes it is. I love everything about this middle stage, from his judgmental gaze to his floating amethyst shards, even his spooky snake, which now looks more like it's leading than just keeping watch. The shiny is mint, too.
Oh, thanks for getting my cyborg dog a new brain from that ski lodge full of mutants. Here, you can keep him.
Okay, I lied. Pretzley is the best memorial Clovermon. Not just because it's stronger than Priasu, because it isn't, but because Clover added so much more flavor to this memorial and its special encounter than just making a design for the King of Rock and putting him in the game. Pretzley has a special item called the Blue Suede Shoes that boosts his speed. He has an event where he haunts a house, and of course he was given the rock type to truly represent his legacy as a rock star. He's not star-shaped though, he's actually distinctly pretzel-shaped. Rock on, Mr. Presley. Mr. Presley, that's your name. Check it out! The Clovermon I named my Pokemon Go account after. Teenage cringe. Until the recent 2020s, Ebolable was actually one of my favorite Clovermons, although nowadays I'm a bit more cultured, and also I realized liking a Pokemon based on the horrific Ebola virus is a little edgy. That being said, the Poison Dark type makes Ebolable intimidatingly intriguing, as well as fitting for its origins. I like how it's so gloopy and snake-like compared to Nauseon, its pre-evolution, as well as Hazemate, its co-evolution. Shout out to the Nicki Minaj NPC who uses just an Anaconduke. She's way quirky. Anaconduke is actually sort of drenched in silly trivia. Did you know that it's likely a reference to the fictional Homestar Runner video game series Snake Boxer? Did you know that despite his Pokemon alter ego having the abilities Shedskin and Limber, world-renowned boxing champion Mike Tyson isn't limber, nor can he shed his skin? And lastly, our old friend Pokemon Ultra Fire Red XD has an evolution for Anaconduke as well, his name being Balboa. He reminds me of Jack Subjectively's Ariamano Fakemon. Lastly, shiny Anaconduke has a nice gold color, but I honestly kind of wish he only changed his glove colors, not his whole body as well. I don't know, I'm usually all about crazy different shinies, but something about the idea of two Anacondukes duking it out with different colored gloves sounds awesome. Oh shit, it's just a flower. You fool, you've been rused. It's not a flower. In fact, flower is just a silly Clovermon that is honestly one of the designs that sticks with players years after they play the game, either because the design is so strikingly simple, or because people had such a hard time figuring out what fucking type it was. See, it's Poison Dark type, which is both perfect since Flower's whole thing is being a tricky fuckface, making Poison and Dark the perfect typings, but also because nobody would assume this Grass Fairy normal fighting Fakemon is actually a jerkwad with almost no weaknesses. I mean, a ground type is the last thing you'd probably consider using on this grass type, isn't it? And then, wait a second, the ground type doesn't even do anything. This flower has Levitate? I'm sorry, but there's just something so excellent about Flower subverting expectations again and again. He's also just a crazy support Pokemon that's hardcore with an Eviolite attached. His shiny is a Floweray reference. His shiny is a Flowey reference. What more could you want at this point? I swear to God, if you mention his evolution, I'll have you removed from the internet. This is all you could want. This flower by himself. Quirky designs like these are few and far between in Pokemon, except Doduo, and Girafarig, and Zweilous, and Binacle, and Scoville and Doublade, Klinklang, Weezing, Cherubi, Vanillux, and Galarian Weezing. You know, stuff like that. Okay, maybe a two-headed Pokemon isn't such a crazy concept, but what about the two heads being at odds? No wait, Zweilous and Binacle. Doesn't matter. That's not why I like Nutsbolts. Actually, it's because she is thick with HP. As a Nutsbolts user, I can assure you that Billy Mandy can live some damn hits. Her development is evidently originated in how two Fakemon artists, Nuts and Bolts, were at odds during Clover's development, which is honestly an excellent bit of in-studio reference making that I can appreciate. Don't worry, Nuts and Bolts, your petty arguments will not go down in vain. Cause this bird can take a couple punches. I'm sure that means a lot to you. Sambaludo is one of the Clovermons where I cannot tell if it's just a weird combination of cliché stereotypes for Mexican culture, or if I'm just racist and don't consider Hispanic struggles as real. But then I, gave it a serious thought. Clovermons like Lazakbar and Vandash were treated as punchlines to make sense with, for example, the terrorist or robber trainer classes, but not Sambaludo. Sure, it was paired with the immigrant trainer class that was already a little weird to begin with, but with Sambaludo itself, there's no joke. Sambaludo is a fucking beast in the Poke ring. He has stats better than or rivaling even Pokemon Clover's starters, he has coverage that, yes, the game loves to show you, and his design makes him look like a fucking badass. Never once is he the game's punchline for any sort of racist joke, never once does he put down North and Central American culture, and best of all, his name includes an Argentinian curse for a stupid person. Yes, Sambaludo is putting you down even when you're saying his name. From his Tex-Mex Carlito battle, where he fucking kicks your ass for an hour or more, to when he can solo Fairy Gym leader Van Darkholm with Sandstream in an attack for both of his stab typings, Sambaludo proves himself to be more than a weird punch-out-esque collection of stereotypes.
Hey, little girl. Did you want to know a secret? 'Cause I know one and it is so good to hear it. You want to know what it was? Alright, I'll tell you what it was. I know how to count all the way to 55.
I have an opinion about a design.
First of all, your Jordans are completely fake.
It's official, guys. We're in the top tier, the epic Clovermons that are truly my faves. What's better way to open than with a penis? Oh, sorry, Pingus. Pingus is one of those designs where it's clear that the devs looked at the meme it came from and immediately knew what they wanted to do with it. Derived from the Pingus meme from a Sonic TV show series, with its fire-ice typing coming from the Sonic game Sonic Boom Fire and Ice. Its body looks like Dr. Kintobor or Robotnik's face, and its shiny is the color purple, referencing, Biggs the cat. That one. Or maybe Blaze the hawk? Rouge the cat. Realistically, I love this one more for his Wonder Trait encounter, a Pingus with Berserk, named Doom. The Google Doc appears to be calling me out as a liar, but I promise, here's my screenshot. I use it frequently because I love it so. Frankly, I love giving Berserk Pingus a Wotmel berry so that when it gets damaged below half health, it gets the Berserk boost, but then it eats a Wotmel berry to boost its HP back up again, meaning that if it got damaged back down again, it would get a second special attack boost from Berserk. Yeah, Pingus can get pretty damn scary pretty fast, bro. It's kinda nasty, bro.
Yeah, Fortnite balls.
He's a Tentaquil. I'm sorry, dude, but can you really call yourself a Pokemon fan if you don't know Tentaquil? I'm kidding. I didn't know who Tentaquil was until sometime around when I first saw Hoodlum Callum obtain Tentaquil in his first Pokemon Clover playthrough. Sure, I was in middle school and I didn't know a lot of references, but what I knew was a for sure problem was not understanding the prestigious character that must have been Tentaquil. He can puke blood, he can learn Splash at level 99. He can't learn any psychic moves naturally, and best of all, his ass was officially featured in Scribblenauts Unlimited for the Wii U. What the fuck? I mean, whatever the case, that's fucking sweet as hell. He is also considered as a mythical due to his 100 in every base stat, meaning his lackluster encounter event isn't even a lame sign of developer laziness, it's actually just true to every mythical Pokemon event since Gen 6. Pseudo-legendaries are famous in Pokemon games for either being too much work to properly train up in time for the league, or being so rare that they're hard to even find in the first place. I mean, at least they're given chances to shine in the more modern mainline games, especially Sword and Shield, Legends Arceus, and Scarlet and Violet, since these games seem to have 2 or 4 of them in the Pokédex on the regular. Problematically, Pokemon Clover doesn't really have a sequel that can proudly display novelty creep as a perk and not a curse, leaving 2 Pokédexes worth of pseudo-legendaries as struggling evolutionary lines without chances to shine. Sure, Clover has such a big post-game that beating the champion really only means you're halfway through the game, maybe even just 1/3 through, but some of these Keko Pokemon, or the equivalent of Hoenn Pokemon in Fire Red and Leaf Green, are so few and far between that really encountering one before the end of the game can leave a player wanting to experience the proper trials and tribulations that come with training a Pokemon, and not just power leveling them in the Grindhouse Ranch. That's where the Wonder Trade functions come in. Despite not really being the Gen 6 Wonder Trade feature, Clover's Wonder Trade has an expansive spreadsheet of potential trades that the player can receive, many of which are Fochin or Eben Isles Pokemon, but a sizable few are actually Keko Clovermon that you'd otherwise only find in the latter half or third of the game's natural life. Of these various Keko pseudo-legendaries, I had the pleasure to be Wonder Traded and to casually train a Hornigiri, a Pitayan, and a Fire Sheet on my individual Clover journeys. From Lawnmower the Pitayan proving to be instrumental in the mandatory Tex-Mex hero Carlito fight in every game save, to Hot Shit the Fire Sheet that I was traded and trained up right before the Kanye gem. That genuinely was another couple hours of grinding because when I received Fire Sheet, I realized that I still had a whole ass route captain to train on and quickly realized that he was not the place to go. That was a couple hours of tall grass grinding while I waited for Fire Sheet to evolve into Fire Chatoy. That being said, the closest to my heart is Hornigiri, who I actually wasn't traded for and just found in a pile of snow as she was cosplaying the killable snowman in Undertale. Thus, I named her Greed. To learn the fates of these three favorites, you must press onward to higher spots on the list. Based on the founder of 4chan, Christopher Poole, who had the tag Moot, Admoot is a cuck who wishes it was a little girl. I wish I wasn't spitting truth bombs. That being said, it makes sense that he took the fuck off of a platform that quickly turned toxic. Dude, it was a platform he made as a teenager and it went to shit. I can't even imagine how disappointing that would be for him, or how scary it would be to be a young adult and have so many assholes making fun of you. If it helps Eddie, Admoot is a pretty cool mythical, and I like how stupid it looks. It and Wooper would definitely be friends. Look, Junior, your two rabbits just, are wrestling. Yeah, I won't lie, this one's just funny because they're having sex and predicted Tandemaus, like a hornier version of when Nazeon predicted COVID-19. There's actually a really cool and weird reason why Humpany and its evolution exists, but I'll cover that in its evolution. The evolution that is higher on the list. Should I be censoring this? I genuinely feel like this could be found in E621. I really don't think it needs to be here. Huzzah! The first evolution to one of those late introduction pseudo-legendaries I told you about. Dragaya is honestly pretty strong to have evolved and be available at the Electric Gym and right before the Grass Gym. I'm not proud of the cheese I committed with this fruit. I'm just relieved they didn't give Snoop Dogg one of these. Blombo. Blumby. You see, Bobulos is based on slime enemies in JRPGs, replacing Ditto for the breed slave Pokemon used to make breeding way easier. Because, baby, Globos can be whatever you want it to be. The Rock-Ice type makes it seem like an even worse Clovermon than Ditto is, with, having two typings with the most weaknesses in the modern type chart. But that's where you're wrong. To start with, it gains two signature moves, Bloppy Bop and Super Snore, the first being an instant hit 70 power ice type move and Super Snore being a 255 power ice type move that is used when Bobulos falls asleep. Wow! And then, when you consider that Blobos is a Ditto mimic, you realize that it could totally morph into any number of powerful Clovermons to do battle with, using the foe's own power against them. Lastly, if you own 4chan Gold, Gobos can evolve into Bob the Minion. Slugbud is not Goomy. Instead, he's a friendly little pseudo-legendary who makes fast friends with all sorts of people, trainers, and Pokemon alike. It's 100% female and will always love you. Do not expose Slugbud to Mercury. This will not have the result you think it will. I'm not sure if you all were aware, but I love silly little guys. Little quirked up creatures. Lovably ridiculous friends. I also like the song Grass Skirt Chase. These two factors could ostensibly connect to say that I love little goofy friends who run real fast.
Ninoop, the only Clovermon in the ROM hack to have a prolonged chase sequence, obviously meant that I would have to love it. Look at his little butt face, the cute little face, the big ears and fairy wings, the tiny little wave. Sweet baby boy. I'm not sure if you all were aware, but I love silly little guys, little quirked up creatures, lovably ridiculous friends. I also like the song Grass Skirt Chase. These two factors could ostensibly connect to say that I love little goofy friends who run real fast. Before you comment that I accidentally placed the same segment twice, this one's about Fla. Fla and Nanoop just have enough in common that I use the same intro. Fla, however, is bipolar, which I can relate to. Wimbledon the Fla, you're valid, and don't worry, you evolve into an absolute gamer. They placed his pre-evolution's trivia in his trivia spot. Okay, more seriously, Mandy is the sort of early game bird that almost feels too strong for the section in the game that they're in. Most of her stats are uniform, but her HP is pretty good for late level teens and level 20s, but then she has a 95 speed stat that outspeeds almost anything in the mid-game. Yeah, Birdman is pretty strong. But I mean, at least it's in a more reassuring than painfully overpowered way, you know? That's the sort of strength I like. Nothing too stupid. But also, not just a situational usefulness, you know? I like speedy mixed attackers in early to mid-game. Mid-game is the best place for experimenting after all. Pokemon is an amalgam of celebrating nature, celebrating humanity's tendency to compare stimuli, and of course, celebrating the power of friendship. That being said, Pokemon was largely directed towards children during its inception, which was honestly the best choice Nintendo could have gone for, since I don't see a way that Pokemon would have skyrocketed into such popularity if it had been done any other way. To be frank, it might have ended up just being a 1 or 2 off weirdo franchise with little magical creatures if they tried something more adult to start with. Whereas Digimon would have probably been the most popular children's franchise in the world instead. Like it or not, Digimon Go would have had a better lore reasoning than Pokemon Go does. Regardless, despite the innately childlike nature and comparing things like animals and concepts, not every concept or object can be child appropriate enough to have a chance to be turned into a Pokemon every 3 years that Game Freak decides to print money. For example, despite Dragon being an entire type that's strong enough to be an honest cornerstone of the type chart, I will bet you $1 million that Dragon dildos will not be touched by Nintendo within the next couple decades. Like maybe for the first adult Pokemon game, cross those fingers? This is why more adult-oriented fan games like Pokemon Clover can do our favorite portmanteau creatures justice with the legendary Clovermon Baton. Look at those sprites. Look at that detail. If I really wanted to, I bet I could peruse the Bad Dragon Dildo catalog and find every single one of these designs. That is dedication. Not to mention, Baton is the only pure dragon type in the game, and I'd expect nothing less from the Dragon Dildo Pokemon. I actually love that the Pokédex entry says that the Baton were used as battering rams in medieval times to breach fortresses, referencing both the big stretch experienced when using a dildo, as well as painting a picture of warring soldiers having to wield these powerful, tiny Clovermon. Honestly, Baton is so small that they feel more like mythicals. But nah, dropping the 400 points of BST fat would leave us with skinny boys, and nobody wants a dildo without presents. Okay, we've all had a good laugh, now let's get serious. Baton may be funny, but funny doesn't give you goosebumps. How about a 720 base stat total? Did that get your attention? Yeah, as strong as Arceus. The Pokemon with the highest base stat total. Don't look at the Megas and Primal forms, don't look at them, please don't. Every stat is 100 or more. Holy shit. And even worse, his asshole looks like a real Pokemon! Clovinix, you guessed it. It's the box art legendary of the game. It's locked behind the post game. It has insane moves that make any attempting player feel like an idiot for attacking it and a golden god for using it. And worst of all, I don't even like it that much. Sure, it's my favorite, but that's just because of how grossly powerful it is. Plus, I mean, the lore attached is poignant. Okay, maybe I do like Clovinix and just don't want to look like a normie. High five, whack to back. All there was available to use you for was the Tex-Mex Hero Carlito rematch, but goddamn, you were excellent.
We did.
Okay, thank fuck. I don't have to be sentimental anymore and can talk about the superior grass fire line in Pokemon Clover. Bongekko's family. Before Scovillain showed up, Pokemon fans were salivating for a Pokemon with both the grass and fire typings. Sure, something to do with Hot Pepper was the regular approach to it, but there was also Hoops and Hip Hop, who offered Grember, a burning bush, and Loxton and Noggin had his emu with the fire abilities, Blue Mage. However, right alongside these proposals, there was also a very relaxed, understated hum in the background for a marijuana Pokemon. It would never happen, no matter how much fan art offered ideas like a frog, pile of hemp, or Bong Roselia. Pokemon Clover, as always, picked up the slack and presented us with Bongekko, the Gecko Pokemon. His call is a Bong Rip. He sports the Jamaican flag as well as Rastafari colors representing, as this R/trees Redditor states, the green stands for the natural beauty of Africa, the gold stands for the natural wealth of Africa, and the red stands for the blood that has been shed to keep both free. And honestly, that's metal as fuck. I mean, that's rock as fuck. Bob Marley is also famously associated with the colors, as well as him including those three colors in his lyrics. Basically, Bongekko is a love letter to Rastafari culture as well as marijuana consumption, and it makes me the most hyped I've ever been about drug usage. Bacon is one of my favorite cuts of meat, right up there with giblets that soften up and melt in your mouth when you cook them in soup, as well as whichever bits of the chicken are easiest prepared to make the enigmatic chicken wing. Bears are one of my favorite animals, up there with ducks and pangolins and whales and ferrets. Most of those are famous for not being very good at making a yummy meal. Ducks and whales are debatable, but I'm actually focusing on the bears right now, and I don't remember the last time I heard of someone being anywhere near bear meat and eating it is honestly out of the question, I think? Behold, Bakub and Urswine, two Clovermon referencing South Park, a franchise whose fans ruined for me. I don't care how much cute fan art you make. Bakub and Urswine are tanky, lovable food Fakemon that are only outclassed by the other, better fire type in this game. Since Urswine sort of looks like Ursaring, I kinda wanna see Ursaluna forms. Big boar tusks and a pelt of bacon, or maybe a Blood Moon Canadian bacon version that's very docile but has defense stats through the roof. Whatever, just an Ursaluna fanatic wanting to see it more often. Unjoy fucks. I'll be honest, all I can do is apologize to any loyal Pokemon Clover players who see her this low on the list, because I really can't cover my ass any better than by saying I genuinely love every other Clovermon from here on up. Unjoy is excellent, it's true, but I somewhat see her design as incomplete. I know, it's not fair, she's got a wonderfully crafted call. Everything from her footstep to her erratic EXP gain is spooky, like her inspirations, and Morrigan, the recurring Unjoy that I find myself catching in every playthrough, is proof that I really do love this Pokemon. I guess it's just as simple as saying, I wish all of the Fakemon from here on were real, and Unjoy simply elicits the least amount of dopamine in my brain than all the others. Not that she still doesn't squeeze it out like a freshly cut orange, it's just that she squeezes it the weakest? Morrigan, I can't wait to try Hypnosis Dream Meter strats with you in Kanye's gym soon.
Cause some came in the mail today.
Suck. Larvadis. As much as I get emotional with my love for the closest thing the Pokemon Clover community has to a waifu, I'm afraid Unjoy cannot measure up to the simple pleasures of Larvadis absolutely giga-draining an opponent. That's it. He's a satisfying worm who's got a big suck. What more do you want?
That's a nice argument, Senator. Why don't you back it up with a source?
I'm going to open by saying I'm not one of those brain-rotted Metal Gear Rising Revengeance fanboys who screams the lyrics of It Has to Be This Way Platinum Mix, and watches exclusively edits of the Raiden vs. Senator Armstrong confrontation. That being said, goddamn Kenji Saito knows how to craft an ending. Not only does the sheer absurdity of a largely unexplored Colorado senator kick the main character's ass, making me smile, but technically his reasoning to be the twist villain still makes sense in the larger plot of the game. Disney, take note. The whole confrontation has been mean to hell and back, from Raiden's Gum Gum Stand Rush or whatever the hell to Senator Armstrong making it the fuck up. Pokemon Clover chose to honor this confrontation by paying homage to why a 50-year-old man could take such a beating. Nanomachines, son. Indeed, this metal man can have the ability Stamina, in which every time Sananos is attacked, its defense is boosted. This fucks expeditiously, and Reagan the Sananos was the backbone of my second Clover playthrough, especially since my starter was weak to Psychic, and I'm an idiot who didn't want to pack a Dark type of my own after getting a Wonder Trade containing a big, strong man. Sometimes the best memories are ones crafted from the blood of my edgy enemies. I'm sorry, but penises are funny. Cum is funny. The Jackasm, the water-type starter for Fochin, is by law of transitive property funny. It's honestly insane how much of a downer Aerobomb is just for the other two starters to carry the starter trio like a three-legged stool that somehow manages to perfectly balance with two legs. I love this wiggly condom full of water. Did you know that Sliggoo, the actual Pokemon, will sometimes accidentally kill its friends? Yeah, it just tries to melt/eat them when they come in for a hug. Do you know who'd never pull some bullshit like that? Slughug. She isn't blind, she keeps those bodily harmful toxins inside her shell, and best of all, she has Hug in the name! Slughug is the best slug Fakemon, no contest. Sliggoo wishes it was this gooey and huggable. Phanpy, Donphan, Cufant, and Caparaja. These are all serviceable elephant Pokemon. Mamoswine gets an honorable mention as well, I guess. In fact, you even saw that earlier in this tier list I gave Elephas a favorable ranking. Elephas is wonderful, a snuggly, friendly friend with a big ol' brain. It's too bad that all of these Pokemon are brutally outclassed by this little elephant with a cocaine addiction. He reminds me of Snuffleupagus, mostly from the big nose and being an elephant. Well, and I named my hatched Snuffant Snuffleuf. It doesn't even matter if the pure ice type is weak, because his evolution fixes everything.
It's all ogre now.
I am overly critical of ugly character design. You've heard me, master of satisfying shapes, praise design after design in this list simply because of how the shape language makes my brain hum. This is when I surprise you by saying I really like Ogre Lord and Sasquatch. Not even lying. These two ugly bastards are among my most favorite Clovermons, and one looks like a lump of boogers while the other looks like Nigel Thornberry going through a withdrawal. That being said, Ogre Lord is invariably useful with abilities like Victory Star, Mold Breaker, Sturdy, and Sasquatch is a legendary with such a sinisterly, eerily spectacular event that it has more character than 90% of real Pokemon legendaries. Say whatever you want, but these two ugly boys are welcome to my party anytime, along with more aesthetic mons like Unjoy, Urswine, and Badon. As much as middle school was influential to my brain's growth, I can distinctly remember one specific moment in my freshman year of high school. I'm the sort of person who reminds myself of random things I've read or heard long before, and then suddenly finding myself curious about why I remembered those things in the first place. Enter 7th grade, where I was reading the Pokemon Clover wiki since I was utterly obsessed with this ROM hack. I came across Mimime's wiki page and innocently perused the trivia. It talked about Mimimi being originated from an NSFW music video called Me Me Me. Self-explanatory, that's what the video is called, so that's what its name is. I continued onward without paying mind. Now, cut back to freshman year, where my already mildly porn-addled brain goes, okay, but what made the video NSFW though? Considering Clover's sometimes brutal references, I genuinely thought the video would tell some sort of story about a girl so obsessed with herself that she completely avoids tragedies that she causes. Don't ask me where this idea came from, I'm an imaginative person. Maybe I saw the Clovermon pointing at herself and decided that was the important detail to focus on. Man, autism's great. So anyways, I was maybe 14 when I watched Japanese music producer Teddy Lloyd's semi-magnum opus Me Me Me, a video in which an incel drops into a disassociative episode where he remembers abandoning his girlfriend for his porn addiction and finds himself falling down a spiral where he tries to get better only to let his demons win again. Granted, I may be confused since most of the video is wobbling boobs, colorful women, and gore, but that's the consensus that the internet seems to have about the video. The song is pretty similar. It explores a partner's feelings about being seen as a sexual object and realizing that even if you love your partner, they may not love you in the same way. Heavy feelings to be handed in the misleading slice of ham that is a Fakemon design. I'm pretty sure that my bumbling buffoon ass continually walking into porn of varying degrees of too intense is part of the reason why I have such weird feelings about things like eroticism and the way I think about my body. It's also shown me time and time again the way I've strained the relationship I have with people around me and the dark abyss I teeter over every day. Me is, in some morbid way, a reminder from an Asian musical artist who doesn't know I exist all the way to me that if I let my addiction win, I will die unhappy. I treasure the Clovermon Me because she reminds me of the harsh feelings I've found a way to overcome and continue to stay above every day. She's also fucking cracked in the last 2 Gems of Fortune, and I'm pretty sure Pokemon Clover got me into the whole Splatoon aesthetic of tentacle hair. Alright, it's time to stop being emotional for real this time. This is a Pokemon Fire Red ROM hack full of shitty memes. Where's the comforting references? Come on, show them to me. Ah, it is he, Dio. Earlier I talked about Diobat having an evolution. This is that evolution. For those less versed in a largely inconsequential anime, Dio is a villain in the JoJo's Bizarre Adventure manga and anime series, being the main antagonist in 2 of the 8 fully completed parts of the series so far, serving as a secondary villain or, honestly, a driving force in a 3rd. He very early on becomes a vampire, which JJBA illustrates as having the ability to harness temperatures, have super strength, regenerate bodily harm by sucking blood through skin contact, and having the ability to hibernate for long periods of time to avoid the classic sunlight weakness. As you can see, this vampire man Warudio is a dark fighting type with moves like Drain Punch for blood sucking and Ice Fang for temperature control. Horrifically, the villain Dio also has the ability to summon his soul, a very big man who can freeze time. This, of course, means Warudio also learns moves like Roar of Time and Wonder Room that mess with time and change how speed stats work. It truly is a JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Nothing is kind of funnier than the word horny. Use that as a pun because this snowman with an unreadable woman's face has horns? That makes it twice as funny. Hornigiri's evolution is, while useful, not exactly the crazy stat fest that most Pseudo-Legends middle evolutions tend to be. I'm sure that'll be remedied in the final stage. Birds are very important. Their shit usually makes plants grow. Their migratory patterns feed hundreds of species of predator, as well as completely resurfacing some ecosystems for a couple months every year, and their undeniable sass gives humans anthropomorphic envy. This anthropomorphic envy can lead to doing things like describing geese as evil or describing this hawk as skeptical. Why not describe this little bird as unimpressed and this bird as a shithead? While Flipbird is definitely just here because he's so funny that I genuinely want to see his 3D Scarlet and Violet model do the music box middle finger as his idol stance, Donkey P is here because I love his sleepy face, I love his evolutions, I love his purpose as a B-Tech Smogorobin with 4 times the charm, and I love the color purple. Sex is hilarious, dude. You're telling me that a vital part of existence is procreation, and yet every single part of modern society tries to push away the concepts because the second you give adults an inch, they take a mile, and that's how they expose pornography to children? I said expose. Or maybe the fact that the search for the word sex doesn't offer informational content, but rather displays porn to rot my 7-year-old brain. Banorgi is the product of classic clairvoyance predicting mousehold while trying to solve a problem in Clover's coding. Ninjask is hard-coded to split into 2 Pokemon when it evolves, as long as a Pokeball and an empty space are available. The solution? Make Humpany. Banorgi's evolution, that is. Evolve and create another set of Humpany, as well as evolving into Banorgi, referencing the fucking like rabbits turn of phrase. What a quirky way to approach adversity. It's also a Clovermon duplication glitch, since you can just have another Pokeball in another open space before you evolve the next Humpany, making the cycle continue. The Clover devs are lucky they didn't put in a sell Pokemon feature, or else I'd be running a Humpany mill instead of mugging Chompests. Not to mention Banorgi's slick, almost FNAF reference as a shiny. I'm a disgusting sunlight avoider, so I love salty foods. While my favorites are spicy hot Cheetos, I know that would be too much to ask for in a Pokemon ROM hack made by strangers, which is why I'm so tickled pink that the Clover devs made a Dorito Fakemon. He's got a little chili flavored shiny, he's got a fancy little mustache, his name sounds like a Taco Bell order, and honestly the only thing that's missing is guacamole in the rim of his sombrero. Ponchito. I love this little chip fairy, and something tells me that the only reason that he isn't some sort of Tex-Mex foods fairy is the fact that Sambaludo did the mysterious stranger intimidating gunman already. Ponchito is excellent, my personal favorite of his evolution line.
Yes!
From how Taco Bell looks going in to how it feels coming out, we've got Fire Shitwai, the lovable evolution of the lovable little fire sheet. If I can be honest, not giving a flaming shit is not quite as funny as not giving a flying fuck, but considering how constraining flying fuck sounds, something tells me that flaming shit just was the natural of the two choices. Though, now that I think about it more, flaming shit is also the sort of concept that stands on its own legs due to the whole leaving flaming bags of shit on people's porches. You know, it's also a popular thing. Hot shit the Fire Shitwai. You were a real one. Being gay and being a drag king are not mutual concepts, but if you're as socially backwards as a 4chaner, this is surprisingly amazing representation. You're telling me that Pokemon Clover made a gay Clovermon and didn't make it a homosexual frog or, I don't know, something harmful? I suppose most gay stereotypes are uniquely humanoid concepts, so it's difficult to not just draw a guy and make him the stereotypes if you want it to be offensive about a gay guy. But they made Wifeman, and that's just a woman. So does that mean that the Clover devs just wanted to high-five gay guys? Before you ask, I'm specifying just gay in the male application of it because gay is an entirely male species. I mean, it makes sense that a species named gay would only have one gender and thus be, by human consideration, gay. I don't want to speak for all the queer people on Earth, but I think gay is just genuinely awesome. It's a powerful and graceful alicorn with a flaming mane and a rainbow dash tail, wreathed in sparkles and wielding the fairy and flying types. This thing somehow reminds me of masc and femme gays, as well as evokes both top and bottom, while also casually existing in both times. I will admit, I don't think about bears or otters when I look at gay, but this is remarkably cool coming from the same game that has ostensibly a black caricature as an entire trainable Fakemon. Gay not only is a powerhouse, but also has a masterful design. I mean, its shiny is Rainbow Dash, and I can't think of a moment in my life that I wouldn't be flattered to have a sexuality tied to that blue Pegasus. Gay's shiny also has the trans flag colors, but I'll be getting into that later. Because this is a double feature, baby! Drag King is the female counterpart to Gay, and she's cool as fuck. For those who aren't as in the know as I wasn't a couple months ago, Drag King isn't just a bit of semi-clever wordplay that comes off as kinda tone-deaf, but is actually a real term that is a real practice IRL. Drag Kings are as you'd expect, women identifying peoples who dress up and make up themselves to appear more masculine. I'm serious, guys, look it up. There's some really awesome drag kings out there with some really sick pieces. Clover's wiki doesn't seem to know that drag kings exist, but I have faith? Nah, it's just really sweet coincidences. Despite Drag King's seemingly masculine features, the artwork absolutely resembles a lion that's just given makeup to seem masculine, also referencing wigs or a hairstyle changes by giving it a mane despite being female. 100% female, it's just doing excellent at presenting. So excellent, in fact, that even the Pokédex is fooled into thinking that Drag King is a drag queen, when in reality Drag King is performing so well that the smallest detail of it having lipstick just makes passerby think it's a male drag king doing a poor drag queen display. This is really weird when you think about how it would work out in real life, but I'm hoping that being such a convincing drag king that your smallest flaws in the art piece that would betray you as female just make onlookers think you're a male who is doing poorly at being a drag queen is a net win as opposed to a net loss for positivity. Hey man, Drag King also has the trans flag shiny, and I wonder why. Foreshadow, foreshadow, foreshadow. You guys thought Clover was done with the Memorial Fakemons? This ride never ends. We need to pay respects to everybody, boy. This ranking's memorial is the late and great Macho Man Randy Savage, a man they did give the ghost type to. But I feel like they felt like Mr. Savage would have had more of a laugh at being a Savage Punch ghost than Satoru Iwata would have. There's not many good reasons why Machmona is up as high, but that's just because there are two excellent reasons why he's up here. A, they made the Macho Man stand a JoJo stand, and thinking about stand wrestling is the coolest thing I imagined all day. And B, his call is literally him yelling, "Oh yeah!" Oh yeah! Professor Kukui has burned that phrase so deep into my brainstem that I learned to like Randy Savage more because of the sexy professor's catchphrase. Rest well.
No! Yes!
I am devastated that Pokemon Clover doesn't have a 12-character limit for names, because I want to name Fire Shitra, Fire Shitrace an unreasonable amount. Hot Shit's big stats made her a fast special tank sweeper, which is an insane combo when you consider that some Pokemon can't even be fast, a special tank, or a sweeper. To be fair, Fire Shitra has 600 base stats, so I can understand if other lesser Pokemon and Fakemon just can't compete. Wait, hold on. I need a moment, give me a second. Why is Fire Shitra so weak? Why doesn't Hot Shit have her 130 HP? What happened? Is this the Mandela effect, or am I going insane? Was Fire Shitra ever a pseudo-legend? I have much to think about. Leave me be.
Don't eat in the halls. Don't eat in the halls.
Having the letter J in the middle of a Pokemon's name is absurd. Evolved from Ejackasm, and with a better shiny than it thanks to the white in its middle, if I do say so myself, Hosajack is a wonderful fitting evolution to Ejackasm that, in my opinion, has almost no hint of awkward teen or middle child syndrome that a lot of middle stage starters seem to get. He's quirky, he's silly, he has a spring-shaped body. He could be the final evolution for Ejackasm, and I'd still praise him as an excellent Clovermon. There are some ridiculously satisfying mixes of animal features that hit me like a buzz button. Aquatic creatures with arms or legs, birds with ears, reptiles with more than 2 pairs of limbs, and insects with fleshy humanoid features. Small Guy with a Shell is a very underloved one for me, however, just because most people never consider it. Thankfully, here is Baby Hermit. Hermit is here to scratch my little guy in a shell itch. There's not much more to say about Hermit, really. He's a little guy in a shell. Well, no wait, it's also because I'm a normal type loving heathen. Slap that spicy, interesting type on the white bread of Pokemon types. You go, girl. Heliolisk, Hermit, Diggersby, just make normal types a little spicy, please. In fact, Game Freak, I humbly ask you to fill out the normal type in Gen 10 and give your unloved normal creatures the rest of the other typings they haven't been paired yet. Thank you! I'm gonna be serious with y'all right now. This is the only time I'm going to favorably talk about Dragon Ball in an opinionated contest. Despite being inspired by blonde superpower Goku, Spilefree is excellent. Boltmaster the Spilefree was a calm mind discharge Shadow Ball kind of guy, and I loved him for it. He also resembles Blanka the Street Fighter Wildman, but that honestly just makes me a little disappointed that Spilefree is the only Pokemon that doesn't have a rancid green shiny. Doesn't matter though, because Water Pulse go brrr harder than any green shiny would. Yes, you are not hallucinating. The grass starter for Fochin is this little guy, Grasshole. That's literally one of the best Pokemon portmanteaus ever. There's grass, it's in his hole, it's in his asshole, and that's technically his grass hole since his species is made to have a grassy hole. Genius. Literally, this right here is the whole reason I got into Pokemon Clover. This ingeniousness. Who has a badass blue, red, and yellow shiny? Ferutagon! Who's the badass dragon fruit Wolverine? Ferutagon! Who's the badass that sweeps the ground type gym leader? Ferutagon! Who has a 600 base stat total? Fruit. Oh no. No, this can't be true. Fruitagon isn't some beta-ass Flygon. Fruitagon's the great pseudo-legend. Don't do this, Clover.
Spooky, scary skeletons and shivers down your spine. Shrieking skulls will shock your soul, seal your doom tonight.
Skeletroll is admittedly hardcore, a death's head moth made from skeleton pieces. I kinda love it. It's kinda hardcore. Spook Scare is a more nonsensical and silly guy, made of moon cheese on some of his parts. None of that matters though, because Spook Scare's shiny as fucking Sans. It's Sans, guys. Guys, Sans is in Pokemon Clover.
Woo! Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for. That's what it's all about. Woo!
Shadow Wizard Buddy Gang. We love casting spells.
Most Clovermons that are just casually almost plausible Fakemon are not too impressive for me, and genuinely end up disappointing. Except Herbior Nixo. I don't think it's based on a meme, I'm pretty sure it's not based on a 4chan culturism, it's genuinely just a Fakemon inspired by medicine rocks and snakes and magical species. As you may remember, he's the evolution to Sylvuin, which is the evolution of Feriok, which makes Oberon Nixo the final evolution of the 3rd Ebenile starter, meaning Oberon Nixo is the best Ebenile starter. Sorry, just the emotional facts.
Number 15.
I'm not going to argue about religious stuff. Jesus Christ, in my belief, if he really was a Messiah dude bro, it was because he was spreading love and acceptance. Not the stupid corporate church love and acceptance where you avoid people who you don't agree with, or even worse, start some shit because you think you're better. Just a genuine encouragement to live life to the most while helping others live to the most as well. That is my opinion, that is my truth. Moving on, this is Sprucifix. He has Wonder Guard, meaning only a select few moves can deal damage to him. He can use Surf, which is a reference to Jesus walking on water. He has a base stat total of 493, which is Arceus' Pokedex number, meaning, I'm pretty sure at least, that Arceus bestowed Pokemon World Jesus with the powers of a Pokemon, but also kept him stuck to a T-pose stance. Coated him in brambles? Nettles even? I mean, actually it is in character for Jesus to accept his punishment for humanity to show that he isn't ignoring their feelings and opinions. I don't know, his call is a hallelujah, and honestly hearing his cry when I send him out is the biggest triumphant feeling I've ever had associated to Christianity. Sprucifix is aren't you? Yeah, you're my little pog champ. Pokemon that learn Belly Drum are pretty clear-cut. Poliwrath, Hariyama, Snorlax, Charizard, Azumarill, Greedent. Big boys with iggly-jiggly bellies. You look at a Belly Drum Pokemon and you go, ah, I could play your tummy like a bongo. Excellent, as nature should be. So my boy Condoom, Swedish name Condom. That's literally the Swedish word for condom, which I find funny. His big ol' wobbly blue fluid bloated belly sounds like it should be a proper jumbo-sized steel kettle drum, shouldn't it? Wrong, Zero Belly Drum. Even worse, despite having reliable early game physical moves like Spit Up and Poison Tail, no Aqua Tail, Condoom's subpar physical attack can't do shit. This is bullshit. It's bullshit, guys. Condoom should have Belly Drum. He should have intense physical attack chances. And Condoom absolutely requires Waterfall and Dive. No deal making. Sharks? Sharks are cool. Their faces specifically. Excellent face usage. So here, seeing a little guy with a big shark face, Nyark, skips all sorts of tiers and lands rather snugly at basically the top of Epic. His little pickpocket ways only aid his Keko starter Pokemon status in making him a right proper character. What, water starters are supposed to be semi-aquatic? That's stupid. That's a stupid opinion. Sure, maybe Nyark has legs. Great, now he's semi-aquatic. It's also funny because he's a pirate and he's a water starter, so he has Torrent, and Torrent is one of those piracy things, and he also gets downloaded as a hidden ability, so he's both an internet pirate as well as an actual pirate. Love you, Nyark. Marks the Rolongo was such a wonderful egg hatch that I kept him around until the end of my first Pokemon Clover playthrough. He's a dragon and fairy type, which is already special enough that I want to befriend him, but then you look at his wonderful body shape, his tasteful use of quirky colors, the way he lovingly stares at you no matter what angle you're standing, he's gorgeous. I wish he was a real meme. Guys, it's a flaming faggot. His special item is called a faggot. It helps him deal more flame damage. Thankfully, this time it actually has a gender ratio, and even if it's mostly male, those normal and shiny colors paint a pretty cool lesbian flag set. You know, maybe if there was a bit more orange, I'd even be willing to say that it was the whole point of the design, to give the Sapphics a high five. But you know, the only good representation the Clover devs were doing is by accident. Also, his cry has a frog in it, just in case some people forgot that the frogs are gay, so I guess my point earlier about gay was wrong. I'm not sure if you all knew, but Flamboyant's beta name was Jamie, and I choose to believe that Jamie and Caroline would have been girlfriends and would have had a double battle power-up a la Plusle and Minun. Love you, James and Jessica, my two different playthrough Flamboyants. I'm coming to the realization that none of the Clovermons I was proud of using because I thought they were pseudo-legends were, well, actually pseudo-legendary. Thankfully that's fine because Snow Woman, my Hornet Titan, is here to hug me and tell me that it's all going to be okay. Never mind, I didn't think this through. She's very cold and also getting me wet. Ew, wait, and she's shiny, and that means... no, it can't be. There's a certain magic in seeing your starter reach their final evolution. From my very first emotional reaction to Prinplup turning into Empoleon, he was very wide and that made me laugh every time I sent him out. I was like 6. All the way to Echo, my Memorial Florigato evolving into Meowscarada, the handsome Elite Four sweeper. I've always loved teaching my boys their proper final forms. Imagine my surprise when I received a female Grasshole on my first playthrough, a thing I kept forgetting was possible because of the starters and their overstacked gender ratios. Rafflesia went from Grasshole to an algae, and as I watched that ugly-ass seagrass butt-cheeker evolved, I realized that the plant shoved up her ass was only getting bigger. Picture me, mouth wide open, as Rafflesia's previously untamable but at least tail-like bush evolved into a fucking entire tree, with the roots so anchored that it looked like my first ever Pokemon partner for this game was getting her grapefruit absolutely scooped by the oak tree out from back behind my house. At least I took it in stride. I didn't act like I had a stick up my ass, because Rafflesia had enough of a stick, and I happily accepted her signature healing grass-type move, Anima. So... yeah. Do you think Rectream sits on its tree like a chair? Holy shit! Is that Coslode's evolution? You guys remember Coslode? It looked like a drop of semen coated in lint? Yeah, it could evolve into Snugwear, a cozy little design based on sweaters. Oh, and foreskins. Snugwear is a huge bug electric type penis. But he's made of round, satisfying shapes, so say hello to Mr. Chode. We love the tank with the bit of stank on him. Bongecko is not his final form. Munchies, the trade Bongecko that I get almost all the time, has a little growing to do. She turns into Marijuana, S-tier name. If this was a tier list about names, she'd be sharing the pinnacle with Grasshole, another grass fire type, just as toked out. Her call sounds like a lizard growling and a bong getting fucking ripped. She obviously gets absolute gems of abilities called Blaze, White Smoke, and Turbo Blaze, and her base stat total is 420, baby! She even has a slow level up rate, because she's fucking tripping, man! Slow down! I love Munchies, I love Marijuana, amen. He's gorgeous, magnificent, he's perfect. House Ant is, despite the silly design, a wonderful miracle of human ingenuity that reminds me that everything will be okay. There's nothing else to say, dude. He's a satisfying shape, he's a cutie, and he's just crustal but good. Instead, I want to highlight that in the darker timeline, House Ant and Apartment were almost ugly centipede beasts, where the only part I liked was how Apartment was several blocks of apartments like a residential area. Thank you, Spriter of House Ant, for making one of my favoriteest Clovermons ever. Hubert House Ant, what a fucking bloody legend, mate.
Stay tuned. The day of reckoning will come.
There is no intro, only explanation. Mademoiselle, Mozzarella, and Mademoiselle, Fairy and Fire. She's gooey, she has sticky hold, she's got cute charm, and she absorbs water. Her, egg groups are human-like and amorphous. She is 6 feet fucking tall and evolves with friendship. There's 2 of her. And he has a 69 attack stat. Nice. Okay, we got the basics out of the way. Some would argue an unnecessary amount of basics. Allow me to explain why on Earth Swiss and Brie are so high up. A. As misogynistically motivated this front sprite may seem, this back sprite is some goddamn power of friendship type shit, and that's just majestic. B. The shiny is blue cheese, but also it looks like a slime, and also this game blue balls freakazoids who wanted porn in this ROM hack. C. Her design predicted Alcremie, another woman made of dairy products. D. They learned surf, and that fucking legitimately means Mademoiselle can hold you tight and keep you safe while they surf like they're on a surfboard. Cowabunga. And lastly, E. I'm pansexual, and you know, they call them pan pizzas. Nah, I'm joking with you. Mademoiselle is attractive and all, but you may find it pertinent to know that I'm also attracted to this car, this woman's soul, this boy fail, and this alien, so I'm not a creep, I'm unfortunately the whole ass circus. I don't know why Clovermons based on drugs make me so fucking happy, but I don't know, man, they're just so funny. Comedify trauma, all that. To be fair, Kokemith is a fucking horrifying sneak-up sweeper with speed boost, so it's not just like his satisfying shape and funny noises are all I like him for. I sorta wish his pupils were a little wider in his sprite, akin to his concept art, but he's still fantastic. I know this will never happen, but Kokemith has salty DK Dan's Friendlock vibes, and I can't help but imagine Sarah or Gerber or Lark stuck as a fucking yoked Kokemith after having fun as a little goblin snuffant. But all of the rampant racism and weird sweet and sour queer hatred, queer fun rap at the same time tells me that a Clover Friendlock is never happening. Also, they probably would never be able to nuzlocke up to Triport City, let alone all the way up to the Pattern Kush if, God forbid, J or J is incarnated as Warney or Rolango My Beloved or Formiga, you know? I mean, maybe if friends could be reincarnated as other encounters after everyone got one, but that just feels weird, you know? It would be awesome, but it's never gonna happen. Kokemith's shiny is based on the colors of the Coca-Cola soda brand, but Clover can't lie to me. That's blood. Shiny Snuffleup is high off of the blood of her enemies. Say hello to the biggest reason why I can't quite tell if Pokemon Clover was trying to be sweet or negative about some of their designs. In between. Yeah, as in both bi for bisexual and in between as in figuring out what you're feeling on the whole gender sexuality spectrum. Not a single mean-spirited stereotype here. It's a chimera with Dirkstrider gay lasses. A cutie mark of the gender they were assigned paired with the stalwart and so very shonen pose suggesting that they've still got a whole journey ahead of them. And get this, not only the chance to evolve into 100% male gay or 100% female drag king, but a 50-50 gender ratio, meaning it could either be happy with whatever gender it was given, or the chance for it to transition into the proper gender it feels, literally fucking showing that it's okay to choose what you want, or that realistically, you don't even have to choose to be different if you feel okay. In a fucking heart-wrenchingly, tear-jerkingly simple way, In Between says, yeah dog, do whatever. And that's not even a joke that pushes it down or fucking messes with it like some sort of edgy penalty for otherwise being such a great message. I mean, I know there's no non-binary genderless dog forms such as NB Keen, fucking fucks as much as that name fucks, and the concept of more than male, female, or none is a little too much to expect from 4chan or even Nintendo at this point. But what a fucking fantastic set of 3 Pokemon. And like, it's not just that this is a sweet message or whatever, and by Tween and their evolutions are fucking rad. The base fairy typing, the mythological love letter designs, the evolutions being post 500 base stat totals, so they're usable even in the post game, the Clover devs made actually good Clovermons for anybody interested in having a queer icon in their party. This is the weird gut punch reason why I love Pokemon Clover so much. As much as it can toss me around with difficulty, as much as it can say haha n-word, as much as it can remind me of how sterile Game Freak will be until the heat death of the universe, there's real passion behind it. There's joy. There's love, hidden behind layer after layer of shitty socio-political stances. The people behind this game love Pokemon, and they love humanity, and that's beautiful to me. I know what you're saying, what a beautiful ending, but I have unfortunate news. Those Pokemon Clover fans who stuck around after me insulting 4chan hell and back, putting Unjoy below first place, and exposing so much of my soul that they must have gotten secondhand embarrassment may notice. 6 Clovermon are missing from this list. And no, I did not forget the 6 best Fakemons in Pokemon Clover as of October 2023. No, instead, I put them all in first place as my ideal Pokemon Clover team. No, Pokefusa is not part of this. Behold, first place. Okay, this is the last time I prattle on and on about satisfying shapes, but who the fuck made Waste Not Sprite? Because it is fucking fantastic! He's so round, so animate, and yet clearly a trash can. His grumpy little face makes me so happy, and his fishbone tail is the most whimsical ass bullshit I've ever had the pleasure of seeing. Cody, my Waste Not, was my attempt at being Ash about the whole evolution thing and treating Waste Not like a charming little partner Pokemon that follows me around like a rancid-smelling dog. Unfortunately, even if Eviolite turns 50 defense and 80 special defense into 75 defense and 120 special defense, it can't fix a tetanus you in the dick HP stat of 70, and such a pathetic speed stat that it should legally be named a slow stat. But you know what? Fuck you guys, I love Waste Not. And Want Not is honestly a total downgrade in every way except stats. If you guys won't buff a Pokemon almost impossible to receive before the island where the 7th gym is, despite it only having a sub 400 BST, then fine, I'll do it myself. It's called the Slog, and it's a pile of shit that is an Eviolite and a Black Sludge in one. Here, have it, my charming little trash. Batman, I caught a little Pokemon. Do you wanna know what Pokemon I caught?
What Pokemon did you catch, Joker?
I caught a Dolores, Batman. I caught a Dolores.
Oh no, Joker, don't tell me.
You already know, Batman. You know what I'm gonna do to that thing.
Joker, it's a plan, Joker, you can't.
Batman, there's no laws against the Pokemon, Batman. I can do whatever I want with it.
Oh no, gotcha. No, do it.
I'm gonna do it, Batman. More seriously, I've always resonated with the Dolores. As a person with bodily issues with myself, with the admiration I have for bimbo subculture, I don't know. I've always thought some weirdly offbeat amalgamation that could only truly exist in art and never in real life was painfully reflective. Thankfully, she's not just a sad reminder, she's also a fucking cunty grass ghost type with the signature move Fizz Bitch and a cry that's literally just the Wilhelm scream. Shine on, you fine-ass fizzy bitch. What, were you expecting something reasonable in my dream team? Some Gale Wings, Brave Bird, Karooster type bullshit? 6 Funadongs? Did you want me to include Pokefusa? You better not, because you will never harness Pokefusa. Her power is too great for her robotic form. Instead, look at this circumcised penis. He's in sweatpants. Yeah, I'm not lying. Bug Electric type, speedy special attacker with enough health to eat an attack or two. Mr. Shroom is definitely a star of my team. He's a surge surfer, bitch. He can fucking surf the web. What can your lame-ass favorite electric Pokemon do? Be static? Illuminate the surroundings when in the overworld? I'll laugh. Give me time, I will laugh, I promise. I love pirates. They braved the sea for the justice of a life without governmental claws in their business. These brave men and women faced adversity every day, and not once did the profession waver until they were outright extinctified entirely. You know who else had to be instinctified to force them to chill? Dinosaurs. You know who also didn't really listen to being extinctified? Birds. And pirates. And now here I can appreciate the wonderful nature of Davy Jaws, A-tier name B2W, and the magic of a fucking excellent starter Pokemon that, honestly, I'd trade for Condom any day. As a person who loves all the Pirates of the Caribbean movies, it tickles me pink that his name is Davy Jaws, and it's such a good name that I wouldn't even want to try to rename him to Jones. Bungecko, Marijuana, and now she munchies the Marleyzard. Man, Scovillain feels stupid right now, I can tell. There's weed wings, there's goofy smiley faces, there's a Charizard body that is on a proper binger, there's toxic leech seed fly Giga Drain and leftovers. I mean, for God's sake, Snoop Doggy Dogg smoke weed every day is in this Ripper's cry. Sure, she could be a belly drummer too, but Marleyzard doesn't need a drum when she's already got the beautiful Toke music already. If you don't like this pick, something tells me you're just green with envy. Guys, he's the dream meme. His shiny, it's the bisexual flag. He's the meme dream. Dreamy meme dream on the dream team. He'll never be dream, he don't cheat, he don't mask, he's Rolango Big Daddy. Finally become the proper meme dream. Life could be a dream, shaboom balabadadoom badabada paradise. You know, once again, I really just want to thank you guys for watching the whole way through. You know, whether or not you agreed with all of my opinions or you disagreed, I would love to hear your opinions in the comments if you want. I'm thankful that you watched the whole way through. I'm trying to see how this YouTube thing works out. I'm trying to be more responsible, use it as a way to properly propel myself through a schedule for, you know, daily activities. I really think that I have the ability to do something with this. Even if it's just to express my feelings, I've seen enough people do enough things that I like that I go, well, maybe if I just do the thing that I think off the top of my head, maybe someone else will like it. I really hope that one day someone can watch a video like this and be like, yeah, nah, it's right. I feel it. I'm feeling it right there. I feel that. That's all I can hope for. Alright, you guys have a good day. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing. I hope everything will be fine, and you remember to treat yourself, even if it's just to something small, like a good sit down with a cold glass of water and just kind of stare off into space for a second. See ya.